The hubbub was all over. Kern County got some stiff admonishment from Governor Gavin Newsom for its failure to use money for a mental health court. Newsom talked about it in a press conference this week. He says the county is not complying with the effort to get people with mental health needs in his estimation, and he threatened to pull money from others. He says he'll send the money to counties that he believes are getting things done. Meanwhile, Kern County Public Works is happy to put some taxpayer money to use to put in new bicycle facilities that include bike repair stations at 3 parks and new benches with a place to park your bike. That's thanks to a grant that is providing $44,000 to get that done. And if you ride, you'll find the repair stations at Lake Ming, Hart Memorial Park, and Lake Buena Vista. Maybe you have the info to help Bakersfield police catch a thief. The guy busted into a Ross Dress for Less on Ming Avenue the morning of Valentine's Day about 1 a.m. Police did not detail what he stole, but you'll be glad to know if you shop there that he stole from the back room and not from any of the deals at the front of the store. He's described as 25 to 35 with dark hair and was wearing a multicolored coat and gloves. Police are asking for the tip that helps catch the guy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Little bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on a hump day, Wednesday, 4th day of March. On News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180, KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing our busy broadcast. The Iran war, and now the entire administration is referring to it as a war, has escalated. And of course, as we predicted yesterday, we were talking with Teresa Goldner, the War Powers Act vote failed in the Senate. It'll go to the House, but it's gone nowhere. So the President of the United States, who I am incredibly disappointed in, and I'll explain why, has nothing to do with the war, but he has unfettered ability to wage this escalating war. We'll identify 4 of the 6 who have passed away. You will hear from the man that I believe is one of the biggest idiots that I have ever heard of, and I've got the audio to prove it, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And if you can still think that this guy should be our Secretary of Defense after you hear what he said this morning, more power to you. The KERN Radio Studios are powered by Adaptive Networks, and owner-operators Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne will join us at the bottom of the hour. It is a Wednesday, so that means, of course, our former federal agent Howard Marcus joins us at 4 o'clock. The Supreme Court makes a great decision on parents' rights in terms of their children identifying as a different gender in schools and what they have to know and what they are now allowed to know. Just some simple common sense. And a local doctor, well, he's not a local doctor. He's a doctor out of Los Angeles, but apparently has a satellite office here where patients down in Los Angeles are accusing this guy, Dr. I can't find his name on here. Where is his name on here? I know I wrote it down.
I'll call him.
Brian Acacio. Dr. Brian Acacio. So if you go to this guy, I would think twice, because he's got about 20 clients down in Los Angeles who claim that they stole. He runs a embryonic clinic, and they're claiming that they stole their eggs, their embryos, and because his rent, he was back rent for a year. He was about to get evicted. So he shipped up all of his goods and brought it to a satellite office here in Bakersfield. It was a huge story on KTLA. You will hear from one of the attorneys representing those clients who had their eggs stolen. Can you imagine? You're a 40-year-old woman. You want to store away your eggs, your embryos, whatever. I don't really know how this works, ladies. Feel free to call me and type me up about this. And the House has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi on the Epstein files with 50,000 files that have yet to be released. The Dodgers, speaking of released their lineup for opening day. I'll see if you agree with that. And Stephon Diggs and Kyler Murray are set to be released in the National Football League from the Patriots and the Cardinals, respectively. And sad news, Lou Holtz, who coached my cousin, who was a music teacher in Columbia and University of South Carolina, knew Lou Holtz. They were like friends. They would have lunch together. It's the weirdest thing. I wish I could have him on the show. He passed away about 5 years ago. But Lou Holtz passed away at the age of 89, and one of his stops was at USC in Columbia, South Carolina, along with, I think it was in Arkansas for a little while. But of course, most of you old folks who remember Lou Holtz remember him for his 10-year reign at Notre Dame. He coached the Catholics to 100 wins, 30 losses, and 2 ties, which is kind of weird. And they were number 1 in 88. They were 12-0, and they won the Fiesta Bowl and won the national championship. And if you're too young, Chris, to remember Lou Holtz as an active coach, he was one of a kind. He was a great interview. He was a funny guy and just really good coach.
I knew him more as a commentator than anything. But
yeah. And James Tellerico, again, my status as the self-dubbed political prophet has proven yet again, as James Tellerico wins down in Texas, much to my chagrin. I wanted to be wrong. We'll get into that in just a second. But again, the war has escalated. And now the New York Times, there are a couple of interesting facts beyond what's going on. J.D. Vance, and I think this is brilliant. I think this is a presidential move on J.D. Vance's part. Somebody leaked to the New York Times that J.D. Vance was against this, was absolutely against this. And then when they finally said, well, we're going ahead, he then said, then we need to go big and we need to go fast. And he's absolutely right. I've always said that. I thought that we'd learn our lesson from Vietnam, but you can't conduct these things piecemeal. You just can't. That was one of the tragedies of Vietnam that we began in the Kennedy, it really began in the Eisenhower administration. And then Kennedy took it over, and we put surveillance spies and I forget the term because I'm just an old man. It's just losing it. But we put just advisory agents on the ground, about 1,500 during Kennedy's reign. And I don't think, had Kennedy lived, that we would have gone on. And then Johnson took it over, and we put in, and we did do it piecemeal. And you remember Westmoreland complaining that he needed more troops, to the point that we had almost 500,000 Americans in Vietnam. And I've always said, I thought the lesson that we learned is that if you're going to kill somebody, don't step on them like an ant. Don't hammer them. You pick up an anvil and you kill them immediately, quickly, swiftly. But I think that's J.D. Vance just covering his own behind, that if this thing goes badly, he can then come next year in 27 when he's running for president, say, well, I was against it in the first place. I'm on record. Go read the New York Times from March of 26. I was against the whole damn thing. In the meantime, the president is the famous quote that you're going to hear throughout the day, is the quote that we have. Here is Donald Trump giving his assessment of the Iran-American war.
We're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
Meantime, Pete Hegseth absolutely crystallized why I believe he is not even incompetent, just an absolute idiot. Do you understand that we are at war and that we have a weekend Fox and Friends host leading our war? I don't give a damn about his military service. I don't give a damn. He wasn't in the service the last several years. He was showing up on a set at Fox, and now he's leading us into war. You tell me. Listen to our Secretary of War.
This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality.
The reality is, sir, 6 Americans are dead. And you're leading the way. And that's what you're concerned about. You're concerned about how the president looks and how the media is addressing it. And there are 6 Americans dead. Just in case Mr. Hegseth is listening, let me identify the people that you couldn't even refer to. This media guy is concerned about what the media is doing and the fake news and how the president looks. When there are 6 families that are grieving this very moment. But our Secretary of War is concerned about the press reaction and how it makes the president look. Well, Mr. Hegseth, in case you're listening, or anybody in the Pentagon is listening, the people that died were Captain Corey Clark, who was 35 years old, from Winter Haven, Florida. My freshman roommate, George Gathers, his father was mayor of Winter Haven, Florida at one point. Sergeant First Class Noah Teachin, who's 42 years old, from Bellevue, Nebraska. Sergeant First Class Nicole, I can't read my writing. I'm sorry, I cannot read her last name. I scribbled it down. Nicole is 39 years old. She was from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. And Sergeant Declan Katie from West Des Moines in Iowa. The sergeant was 20 years old. He died for his country, and he couldn't even legally buy a cocktail. And our great leader, our great Secretary of War, is concerned about the fake media and how Donald Trump's going to look. And that's the guy who's head of the Pentagon. And you want to argue with me whether this guy is even competent and isn't a complete and total insensitive idiot. I'm angry, and I'm not even related to these people. Imagine what these families are thinking when they heard him kind of just dismiss the fact that 6 people are dead. And the number is only going to go up. You know, I lied to you. Or I changed my mind, however you want to put it. And you'll be shocked to find out who changed my mind. It was my mother. I was talking to my mother last night, and she asked me, how are you dealing with the war? How are you talking about it? And I said, I'm trying to stay out of it, Mom. I don't want to say it's a bad situation. I don't want to say it's a good situation. I just want to present the facts each day. And she said, well, baby, you're not in the news anymore. Isn't it your job to kind of give your opinion? Don't your listeners depend on hearing what you think? I thought about that, and she's absolutely right. This is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. We don't know why we got it. We don't know what the plan is. Absolutely no exit strategy. And can anybody tell me, what does victory look like? When we occupy Tehran? Because nothing's changed in Iran. And in fact, if history tells us anything, the next Ayatollah is most likely going to be worse than this one. Because since 1979, when I was in high school, and they got rid of the Shah and took almost 500 hostages, it's gotten worse every single change of regime in Iran. And never in the history of warfare has there been regime change from the air by simple air bombardments. This is a disaster. And politically, it is going to ruin the Republican Party. They're going to win the House, they're going to win the Senate, and one of about 4 Democrats will be the president of the United States in 2029. That's how I feel. Let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Texas Senate race. Got to give it to me. Got to give it to me. You never heard of James Tellerico until you turned to 96.1 FM at 305. Never heard of him. And yet, when the first time you heard of him, he was 7 points down to Jasmine Crockett. And that knucklehead, freckle-faced black guy told you, I don't care that he's 7 points down. He's going to beat Jasmine Crockett, much to my chagrin. Oh, I wanted her to win so badly because now, well, I'll tell you about it when I come back. And it ain't good news. Then the Van Alstynes will join us at the bottom of the hour. Howard Marcus at 4 o'clock. And coming up at the 5, I'll break down the Dodger opening lineup. Baby, we're that close. Just please, Shohei, don't get hurt in the World Cup or whatever the hell he is, whatever the hell he's doing. Please, God almighty. Because, nobody gets hurt playing shortstop in these things. But just one pitch could ruin his whole season. Am I the only one nervous as a long-haired, long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs? Let's cross our fingers. Quick timeout. We're just getting started on a Wednesday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1.
Big Mike.
Thursday,
Shit.
listen, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will dive into the ongoing Texas primary battle on the Republican side in the Senate between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn. John Cornyn will join us to give us the absolute latest there. And we will continue to break down everything going on in Israel as we are scheduled to be joined by Yael Eckstein. All that and more. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you come hang with us Thursday edition. Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
For the last week or so, I've been talking about Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, headed, of course, by former NFL star. Well, star is a little stretch, but nevertheless, he played for Bill Parcells in the 80s. Mike Arieh. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue has been just run so incredibly well over the last 2 decades. It's locally owned. Mike is passionate about his craft, passionate about the quality of meat, the quality of food that he serves. So if you've got an event coming up, you need to call Mike at 393-5507. That's 393-5507. As I've been telling you for the last couple of weeks, Mike's comes with his crew, his rig. They do the cleaning, they do the serving, and obviously Mike does the cooking. He is incredible. He's been doing it on word of mouth, but now he's advertising, and already he said he's had some clients just from the last week or so that he's been on our air. So call him today at 393-5507. I know graduation is right around the corner. If you've got any kind of event, a luncheon, a wedding, whatever it is, call Big Mike at 393-5507. That's 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. And yes, they're still raging hot.
Look up in the sky. Yeah, that's what they cry. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's them. It's Paul Sheldon's team, that well-oiled machine of Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Okay, not superpowers, but still thousands of hours deciphering Medicare's whims, fighting the good fight, learning what works right. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. So it might seem old-fashioned, but hard work with passion most often gives you the win. And the trio that knows are those Medicare pros, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. You know, actually to many, they are superheroes. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So as you can tell, I'm pretty angry with Donald Trump, not because of the war. I think he's made a horrible decision, and I think that it's going to destroy the party unless we can clean this thing up in a couple of weeks or months. But if this thing gets into September or October, near the midterms, I think it's going to ruin the Republican Party. To be blunt with you, I just don't think he gives a damn. I just don't. And the reason that I'm upset with him, I'm not upset. He's got to make his decisions on that. We lost a good man last night, not to life and death, but Dan Crenshaw, a man who served as a Navy SEAL, lost his eye in combat, did 3 tours of duty, lost his congressional seat. Why? Because he wouldn't believe in the lie that many of you have bought into, that somehow, some way, for the first time in American history, presidential election was stolen due to something beyond what happened in 1960. Because the 1960 election was stolen. It was absolutely stolen from Richard Nixon by Bobby Kennedy, for John Kennedy. But we know how. We know exactly how. And it could be proven. And Nixon could have proven it. But Nixon was, strangely enough, such a patriot that he didn't want to put the country in chaos. But he absolutely could have proven that Richard Daley and the folks in Illinois, along with Sam Giancana, who's the Chicago mob boss, had dead people voting in Illinois, and Illinois was made the difference in 1960. But this whole thing about Georgia, where they just recently sent Tulsi Gabbard down there to grab the rolls in Fulton County, where they destroyed the lives of 2 women, and that this man, this 80-year-old man who's the leader of the free world, is still alluding to 2020. And what was Dan Crenshaw's flaw? What was his fate? The fact that he wouldn't suck. God, I almost spoke colloquially. That he wouldn't kiss the ring. That he wouldn't kneel down to Trump and say that he won in 2020. So Trump didn't endorse him, went after the next guy, and Dan Crenshaw's leaving the House. And if you want to know how conservative Dan Crenshaw is, Kathy Abernathy, I met Dan Crenshaw. Kathy Abernathy brought him out here to California. That's how conservative he is. And what was his fault? He voted with the president 99% of the time. Go Google Dan Crenshaw, a really good man who's no longer in Congress because of Donald Trump. Meantime, as I told you, James Tellerico, and this is bad news for the Republican Party, won that primary last night, as I told you he would, beating Jasmine Crockett. Of course, the cartoon character, much like Trump, said that the Republican Party is why she lost, because there were some irregularities in Dallas County, which is where her district is and where most of the black folks are in Central Texas. And what happened was they changed the voting pattern where they used to go to one spot. Now you had to go to your certain different sites. So it'd be like if we were told to go to the county administrative office, the Taj Mahal down on Truxtun to vote. And then 2 months before that, they say, no, Ralph, you've got to go to the Racket Club, to your old election site. And Chris, you've got to go to the fire station that you voted for. Well, they said that late. People didn't know there was a mix-up. They went to a judge, actually, as we were on the air last night, and they extended the voting for 2 hours. Well, Jasmine Crockett wanted them to extend it longer, obviously, because she was trailing throughout much of the night. And she finally conceded this morning. And that's, again, bad news for the Republicans, because it looks like, unless Trump comes in and puts his thumb on the scale in favor of John Cornyn, who barely squeaked out a quote-unquote victory over the Attorney General, Mr. Paxton, Ken Paxton. The reason this is a disaster for the Republican Party, because now they're heading into a May primary. And if Paxton wins, which I don't know if it's likely, but it's certainly possible, we're going to lose that Senate seat. As I've talked about, if you don't know anything about it, you can Google it if you don't believe me. Attorney General Ken Paxton is morally wrong. He's legally wrong. He's ethically wrong. He's been accused of cheating on his wife. He's accused of cheating on his wife with a married woman with 7 children. He was impeached as the attorney general. Have you ever heard of that in your life? An attorney general being impeached? He was acquitted. He was also criminally charged with fraud charges. He was also acquitted. But guess what James Tellerico used to do before he got into politics? He was a minister. We're putting up a philandering, fraudulent liar up against a minister, a moderate Democrat in Texas. If Ken Paxton wins the Republican primary, we're going to lose that Senate seat. No question about it. Tellerico will win. There is word that Trump is going to address Paxton and ask him to drop out so we don't have another expensive runoff in May right before the midterms. But I'm telling you, if Paxton, and it doesn't seem like he's going to listen to Trump, if he wins that, we lose that seat. Quick time out. We'll talk IT with the Van Alstynes next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With us on the news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump says he'll soon endorse a Republican candidate in the Texas Senate race. And he's warning that the divisive contest, quote, cannot for the good of the party and our country itself be allowed to go on any longer, unquote. Incumbent John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton advanced on Tuesday to a May 26th runoff for the nomination. 4 of the 6 U.S. soldiers killed in the Iran war have been identified by the Pentagon as members of the Army Reserve. They're from different states and worked in logistics and kept troops supplied with food and equipment. They died Sunday when a drone hit a command center at Port Shuaib, Kuwait. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points. The Nasdaq rose 290. The S&P advanced 52. More at SRNnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. If your kids go to Freedom Middle School, you might have heard them talk about a lockdown yesterday during lunch period. That was because of a weapon that was reported to be on campus. The school says no weapon was found, and that was after a thorough search with the help of Bakersfield police. Kern County is not taking advantage of a mental health court, a program that would get people with mental health issues off the streets, says Governor Newsom, and he's threatened to take the money away from the county. If you ride a bike, you may be happy to know that 3 new repair facilities are going in at Lake Ming, Hart Memorial Park, and Lake Buena Vista. Kern County Public Works says that's thanks to a $44,000 grant. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to CarpetOutletPlus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
On the next Armstrong and Getty show, the attacks on Iran continue. Are we any closer to the downfall of the regime? Has anybody emerged who says it's time to bring freedom to the Iranian people? We'll find out.
Remember when the tariffs were a thing? Well, we all paid a little more because of tariffs. The convoluted process for getting some of your money back.
Wow. Next, Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. You
Good choice. 842-5376, 842-KERN. As you guys know, the Curve Radio Studios are powered by. Can they see that? Oh, they can't see that. Snapshot. Can I pick it up? No, I don't want to mess with it. No, I don't want to mess with it.
You won't do anything. You shouldn't.
By Adaptive Networks.
Kinda.
See that? Y'all can
Kinda
see
see
that.
that.
That's
funny. Still trying to figure out how it could be seen during the day.
Yeah. There's some days where it comes out brightly. Have you seen that? And then there are other days where it looks black and white.
I wonder if you put a dark background behind it, if it would change it.
You know what?
You know what? That's a great idea.
That might be.
That is a great idea. Leave it to them to figure that out. All of us have no idea. Yeah, it does look cool.
It does. It looks cool.
And of course, owner-operators Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne are live in studio, as they are every other Wednesday with us. Hey, fellas. Hey, guys. What's going on? What's new in the IT world?
You know, not much new. I mean, I guess it's always changing and always evolving. But no, we were going to talk today about our work in the community.
Okay.
I know we're coming up on event season and we've got all kinds of stuff going on, and we're going to be at your guys' honor flight.
Golf tournament?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks away, March 23rd, Monday, at Bakersfield Country Club. Go to honorflightopen.com. If you have not put a team together yet, please do so.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good to hear.
Yeah. I'm on the board for the Kern County Oilfield Contractors Association, or KCOCA. We just had our first poker tournament last Saturday. It was a really great success. I know.
And you didn't tell me.
I'm saying it out loud, I was like, why didn't
the person that took you on one of the greatest poker experiences of your entire life? You ever told your husband that story?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're not going to live this down.
No. I took, long before you met your wife, I took her to dinner. We were talking about playing poker. So I said, well, let's go play poker. Really? She was like, yeah, let's go. So we went. I was $200 down, holding her purse as she went on to win. What was it, about $400?
Something, 4 or 5.
There you go. And at one point she said, I'm up $200. Shouldn't we leave? I said, if you don't sit down, and she was just getting cards all night. She played really well. And it was, every guy at the table was livid. And she was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Next hand, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm sitting there holding her purse like,
sounds about right.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but how'd it go? How'd the tournament go?
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time because they had casino games and stuff, and then we had the poker tournament in addition. And yeah, it was good turnout. It was our first one. We're planning on doing this every year. So.
Yeah. What exactly do they do?
The Kern County Oilfield Contractors Association, we raise money and we give it away to kids. So it goes to scholarships, and it goes to kids that aren't necessarily going to college. Some of them are, but it's a lot of the kids that are going to trade school, things like that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Because I've always talked about, I try to stress, in fact, I was talking about, I was at Noble Elementary today. And by the way, thanks to all the administrators and the teachers and of course the students, I got to read to these kids. And I was reluctant to say what I said, but I said it anyway. I said, look, this is your job. I'm allowed to go to my work, but this is your job. You've got to get an education and get to high school and graduate from high school. And many of you go to college, but you don't have to go to college. You can learn a trade. But to learn a trade, you still have to understand the fundamentals of education and read and et cetera, et cetera. But that's my belief, that college isn't for everyone. And we, I think, as a society, has done a horrible job of not providing these kids with an alternative with trade, because we were just talking electricians, plumbers, roofers, construction. There's a lot of money out there. Plumbers make more money than I do. I can tell you that. And so there's a lot of money out there beyond college.
Well, even in IT, and a lot of the positions, you don't even necessarily have to have a degree. We have a great partnership with CTEC. through the Kern High School District, and we participate in a program through the Kern Economic Development Foundation, and it's called the KIC program, Kern Intern Connection. And we've actually hired a couple of the former interns on full time. But yeah, we take interns on, and we have 2 right now, and we teach them, our business, and we've had great success with that.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful program.
Good. And I know the college pathway. I mean, it wasn't the direction I went, and now I own a successful business and hire people. Some that have gone to college, some that have not. It's not really a determining factor. I like to say that smart people are smart people.
Right.
And you've got some people that want to work with want to do more physical work, or want to be outside and don't want to be in a desk job sitting down all day.
Right.
Destroying our shoulders and backs, staring at computer screens. So there's something to be said. There's not one right or wrong way. So, want to make sure we're supporting, everybody in the community, all the different pathways to success.
Yeah. Tell us your story. How did you get into this lane?
We have to go back to like early grade school. I just had a passion for computers and was always just either tinkering. My dad started building computers when I was really young, just as kind of a hobby. And I kind of took an interest in it and just kind of progressed in that, and then started doing more of the, building systems and doing more things around, business type of use of computers. And then it was a really pivotal moment when I was in high school, my junior year. I thought I wanted to go to MIT. That was kind of growing up. I was like, I want to go to MIT and I want to be a computer engineer. More of the guys like developing the hardware, working for like Intel or HP or one of those large, companies. And I had an opportunity to actually kind of intern doing system administration at the school I was going to when I lived in Montana. And I just fell in love with it and realized kind of then I was like, I want to be the bridge between people and technology, and kind of sit in that space and not just sit behind a screen and stare at a screen all day and look at code. That was kind of the where the foundation was laid, that I realized I wanted to take a different path. And my path did not take me to college. So I'm kind of have a passion for that. And what I find now is, we've got smart guys that are working for us, and some of them have degrees that are outside of IT, like business degrees. They actually correlate better to what we do to be able to translate business to our client. We know the technology, but the business side helps us have a more productive conversation around, the business objectives and the business goals and those types of things when you're dealing with technology. Because really, at the end of the day, nobody cares about the little details and the nuances of it. They just want to know that whatever business challenge that they have, the technology is going to, meet them and meet their need. So that's kind of the brief background of my story of how I got into this.
Ryan and Jennifer Van Alstyne are with us. They're owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, the IT company that we depend on as well. You should, again, call them at 661-241-0638 or hit them at adaptive-net.com. You want to talk about more about your community work?
Yeah, so we, I know Ryan talks about his business is computers, and I do the people side of the company. So I did go to college. I have a master's in people.
With Jessica Matthews.
Yeah, I did go to school with Jessica. Yeah.
Just talked to her. She was in town for the opening of League of Dreams.
Oh, cool.
Baseball season.
Yeah, love her. Yeah, her and I went to Cal Lutheran for a few years together. But yeah, I got my master's in sociology and political science. So just kind of studying people. But it's funny because I joke that I learned more about people when I was bartending while going to college than I did actually in college.
Yeah.
So, because that's what, political science is. It's reading people and that kind of stuff. So,
God, you bartended? Really?
Yeah.
I went to bartending school. Actually, I have a bartending degree.
I loved it. It was a ton of fun.
I hated it.
Well, I worked at Tahoe, so it was not like a wild bar.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a short stint. We had a client that owned in fact, it's where Tiki Co is. He owned that thing years and years ago. And I was at Buckley Radio at the time, and he asked me to be the celebrity bartender. So I had a great night. I was supposed to work till about 10:30, and then it happened around 10:15. where the drunkard came in and give me a drink. I'm like, okay, sir. And I gave him his drink, and he drank about half of it. He went to the bathroom, like $1.50 change. Went to the bathroom, and he was in there for about 20 minutes. So I'm about to leave. So I thought he had gone. So I picked up his $1.50. Well, right when I did that, he comes out of the bathroom. Where's my money? You stealing my money? You gonna steal my money? I'm like, hang on, I'll get you your 6 quarters. And I just went to PJ and I just said, dude, I can't do this. Because I wanted to knock this guy out. I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
Yeah. There's definitely challenging times. But so for our work in the community, we do, we sit on, I sit on quite a few boards. I got off a bunch of boards and got back on different ones. And then we're both really involved with our Rotary. So I'm involved in Bakersfield North Rotary, and I'm actually going to be president.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. In July. And he's involved in Bakersfield West Rotary.
And we're actually having our large annual fundraiser. So Chipino's this weekend on Saturday. So if there still might be some tickets out there, or if you phone a friend, somebody might be able to get you in. But
Chipino the dish?
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we do it. We do it at Garces. Yeah.
Oh, is that the same one?
Same place.
Oh,
same place.
dude,
Yeah.
that is a great event.
Yeah, Bakersfield West has been doing it for a good long time. So we raise a lot of money at the event. I bet directly back into the community. So I think this year those proceeds are going to Cap K, Boys and Girls Club, Bakersfield Museum of Art, if I remember correctly. We support some great organizations that do some great things in the community. We love the stuff that Zane does with the Boys and Girls Club. They just run a fantastic organization.
Zane Smith,
yeah,
good guy.
We just went to an event where they have their kids.
Their Youth of the Year.
Their Youth of the Year event, and they have the kids that sing. I forget what the program is called, but these kids are phenomenal in some of these programs. So it's really cool to see money go back to the community. And just, the things that we do, we love to support, the community and support these nonprofits that are doing, great things, and do what we can to help out our friends at these nonprofits, and just give back to the community that's been so generous to us.
And since he called me, I also do quite a bit of work with Jay Tamsey over at the Hispanic Chamber.
Love him.
Yes, he's awesome. So I run the Hispanic Chamber's Energy and Ag Academy every year. It's a partnership with Bakersfield College, and we're starting another one. This year, it's a partnership with the Kern County Superintendent of Schools. So, we take students, and in the future, we'll be taking teachers and teaching them, exposing the truths, and exposing them or demystifying the myths about energy and ag industries.
Wow.
So, it's not 80% of our water; it's 40%, and it different things like that. What water usage is like in the oil fields, and what environmental protections go into both of those industries. So I love doing that. Yeah, I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. We're running out of time. Explain to the folks why they should turn to you two for their IT needs, as we have here at our radio station.
We just help businesses that want to, take the difficulty out of IT. So we keep everything simple, stable, and secure. Making sure clients aren't ransomed, making sure systems are easy to interface with, because nobody wants something that's difficult to use. So if you need any help, or you find your systems are not simple, stable, and secure, give us a call, 661-241-0638.
Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, the poker ace and the head of the company, right here. Thanks, guys. Always good to see you. We'll see you next week. Quick time out. Howard Marcus joins us at the top of the hour. And coming up in the 5, we'll talk about the subpoena that the House voted on today to go after Attorney General Pam Bondi. And the Dodgers have released their opening day lineup. I'll break that down for you. And boy, it's a tough couple of months for Steph Diggs. You lose your job with the New England Patriots. You don't perform in the Super Bowl. And you lose Cardi B all in 2 months? That's a tough time, brother. We'll talk about that. And Kyler Murray. What do you think, Chris? Kyler Murray in silver and black?
It could happen, but you're better off with Fernando Mendoza.
Well, yeah, but not right now. You let Kyler kind of ease him into it, and then we ease Mendoza, and then we cut Murray again.
Why live through another Geno Smith situation?
Because we can get him for the cheap. We can get him for cheap.
Get Tua for cheap, too, though.
You think Tua's better than Kyler Murray?
No.
Exactly.
Just saying you could.
Yeah, I don't want that one too. I don't want to. Quick time out. We're coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Sweet. Thank you. That was good. That was a good round. Good service.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
So I'm not defending this woman. Yes, her attitude probably stinks because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Two, she's got to put up with dumb people calling 911 because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Which leads me to my other question. Who in the hell still calls 911 in this community?
They do. They do.
Somebody can actually show up to your 911 call.
Then I like to really
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Now that they've got the warehouse.
One of the highlights of this radio broadcast appears on Thursdays at 4:30. Our money man, Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. You all know by now what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. You know that I've turned on staff members who are extremely happy with being a client with Daniel. And I've told you I've been a client for almost a decade now. And it is the single most important and smartest financial move I have ever made. If you're staring at retirement late in life and you're in the fourth quarter, call Daniel, 395-9400, 395-9400. Just keep it locked. Tune in every Thursday at 4:30 when it appears on the broadcast.
Oh, is it really? Happy
Daniel
birthday.
Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes
Oh,
only.
I
Not
love
constitute
it like
solicitation
2 or
or
3
offer to buy or
times.
sell any security, future
Great.
option, or other financial
And
instrument, or to
food,
offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Have filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now
All right,
has
guys.
special
All right, we'll see you in a
programs.
minute.
Guardian Tax knows all about them, personal or business. This is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-7915. 800-505-7915. 800-505-7915.
Are you looking for a one-of-a-kind way to honor your team or commemorate a special event? Look no further than Martinez Challenge Coins and More, a premier challenge coins and specialty metals company in Bakersfield. With years of experience and a commitment to quality, Martinez creates custom challenge coins that are truly exceptional. Whether you need coins for your military unit, law enforcement agency, or corporate team, they have you covered. Their expert team will work closely with you to design a coin that reflects your unique vision. From intricate artwork to personalized details, Martinez ensures that every coin is a true work of art.
Hi, I'm Ray Martinez, owner and founder of the company. So don't settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary.
Contact Martinez Challenge Coins and More today and let them bring your vision to life. Visit their website at martinez-martinezllc.com or call 661-304-9589. Martinez Challenge Coins and More, where excellence meets craftsmanship.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN. I want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstine, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks. And again, for all your IT needs, give them a call, 661-241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. See, now you can't see it. Yeah, we're going to go get something black, just like something opaque.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
That
That was a really good
genius.
idea that for some reason I didn't even
that none of us ever thought about. Ryan just walks in here and it's that MIT mind, man. That's
so simple.
It really is. It really is. Something black would definitely highlight it.
What are we going to do about this?
We couldn't figure out that the white background was what was bleeding it to we can't see it. You know, that's among the three of us. None of us can figure that out. That's amazing. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's check the board and see what everybody's talking about.
Ralph, can you remember a time in your life when our country was in such danger? I feel it's worse than 9/11, but with no W to reassure the American people, we at least had a competent leadership then. We should be worried.
I am worried. I'm very worried. I truly am. Again, I've changed my view on how to address this. I am going to be vocal about it. I am going to give my opinion. And I don't want to root against this with men and women in harm's way. But I think politically, this is going to be a disaster. And if I had, I have family members in the military. Thankfully, they're older and they're doing desk stuff now. The one cousin that was in the Pentagon during 9/11 that we were frightened about. I don't know if you remember, I've told this story, not very often, where we couldn't get a hold of her for 2 days and didn't know what was going on and thought she had died. She knew we knew she worked in the Pentagon, and she was finally able to call her mom on like the second or third day. But they're too old to go. But I wish that the president would address the nation. I wish that this thing hadn't started so haphazardly, where we heard the secretary. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? Where it's not only that we haven't given a true, solid, clear explanation as to why now, other than now, the White House's statement is literally from Carolyn Leavitt and every other member, the boss had a feeling. And I'm not making that up. That's the pretext of this war, that Donald Trump had a gut feeling that we were going to be attacked by the Iranians. And it began with Marco Rubio stating that the reason we were going was because Israel was going to attack Iran, and therefore their first move would be to attack us, so we started first. Well, he tried to walk that back yesterday, absolutely ineffectively. But it just seemed to me that if there was one lesson that we learned out of Vietnam, was what J.D. Vance is saying, that if you're going to go, and J.D. Vance is a former member of the military. And I always thought that what we learned coming out of the 60s and the early 70s was that if you're going to go, commit early, do it fast, and hit them with a sledgehammer, not a hammer. Hit them with an anvil, destroy them immediately. Don't do it piecemeal. And have an exit strategy and understand what victory looks like. Does anybody know what victory looks like? And the idea that the president is saying that he's not skittish about putting boots on the ground and making a comparison to former presidents who he quoted as saying, I don't put boots on the ground. Well, he says, I do. Or I don't say that. I don't say that. Well, there's a reason that most presidents are reluctant. And we were talking about this when I never ever thought that I would be sitting here talking about an American war. But now this is going to absolutely dominate his presidency. Absolutely dominate. And the results of his presidency will depend on the results of this war. If this war is a failure and the body count keeps going up, which ultimately, inevitably, it will, the Republican Party will be destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. And our entire world will change. Our entire world. Because anything and everything, this isn't a normal presidency. Can we at least agree on that? And you can call it Trump derangement syndrome or whatever you call it, but they're going to want scalps, they being the Democrats. They're going to want payback. And they're going to want to reverse anything and everything that Donald Trump has done. And some of the things are just idiotic. Could you have ever imagined a world in which a president of the United States would put his name above a dead president's memorial? The Kennedy Center is now the Donald Trump John F. Kennedy Memorial Center. Who does that? Who puts his name above an assassinated president. And so everything that we know, including the Supreme Court, including the number of states in America, are all going to change because of Donald Trump. It's that plain and simple. He has destroyed every group that he dominated to win. The percentage of approval within the Latino group has dropped in half, with blacks in half, with 18 to 35-year-olds in half. Everything he did to win has been destroyed, absolutely destroyed. And whether you agree with what he's doing with immigration, the numbers don't lie. The reality is the perception, Latinos seeing their fellow Latinos being dragged out of cars, being dragged out of schools, children being taken to detention centers with their father, just isn't playing well. It just isn't. And it's destroying the party, and I don't think he cares. And in his wake, we lost a good congressman in Dan Crenshaw last night, which absolutely breaks my heart. And to hear Pete Hegseth allude to the war and how it impacts the president and fake news when there are 6 families grieving is incomprehensible to me. Howard Marcus joins us next.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A U.S. submarine has sunk an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
Sri Lanka's foreign minister says its navy received information that the IRS dinner with 180 people on board was in distress and sinking. The island nation sent ships and airplanes on a rescue mission. A navy official adds, by the time the ships reached the location, there was no sign of the ship, and there were only some oil patches and life rafts. Adding, we found people floating on the water. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, at a Pentagon news briefing, says that the U.S. thinks that the sunken vessel was the Islamic Republic's prize ship.
Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump says the U.S. is decimating Iran's war capabilities.
Missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer.
The tempo of the strikes on Iran was so intense that state television announced the morning ceremony leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei would be postponed. 4 of the 6 U.S. soldiers killed in the Iran war have been identified by the Pentagon as members of the Army Reserve. They're from different states and worked in logistics and equipment. They died Sunday when a drone hit Port Shuaiba, Kuwait. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points. The Nasdaq rose 290. The S&P oil up to 75.69 a barrel. Townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. What you owe to the IRS. Generous program give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+. Don't be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax number visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 1180 KERN.
It was a suspected weapon. I'm Chris Davis, but no weapon was actually found on the campus of Freedom Middle School Tuesday. Students were just getting their lunch trays when they locked down about 12:30. School authorities had been told about it so far as to call Bakersfield police, who showed up to help look for it. The weapon wasn't found, and just after 1, the hubbub was all over. Kern County got some stiff admonishment from Governor Gavin Newsom for its failure to use money for a mental health court. Newsom talked about it in a press conference this week. He says the county is not complying with the effort to get people with mental health issues off the streets, in his estimation, and he threatened to pull money from Kern County and 9 others to counties that he believes are getting things done. Public Works is happy to put some taxpayer money to use to put in new bicycle facilities that include bike repair stations at 3 parks and new benches with a place to park your bike. That's thanks to a grant that is providing $44,000 to get that done. And if you ride, you'll find the repair stations at Lake Ming, Hart Memorial Park, and Lake Buena Vista. Maybe you have the info to help Bakersfield police catch a thief. The guy busted into a Ross Dress for Less on Ming Avenue the morning of Valentine's. Police did not detail what he stole, but you'll be glad to know there that he stole from the back room and not from any of the deals at the front of the store. He's described as 25 to 35 with dark hair and was wearing a multicolored coat and gloves. Police are asking for the tip that helps catch the guy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Little thing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 4th day of March. And we needed a technician like Ryan Van Alstyne to highlight their Adaptive Networks sign. I just put my LA book behind it, but we'll find something black, something more opaque.
I just love that when you put it back there. For those, this is why you need to watch on YouTube. Ralph was so excited; it was like man discovering fire. Like, there, see?
Well, you can see it now.
That's very true.
The colors aren't as distinctive as I thought they'd be, but I think when we put something black,
something full black.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to thank Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne for joining us. And of course, as I mentioned, Kern Radio Studios are powered by their company, Adaptive Networks, and for all your IT needs. Call them at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. In the meantime, standing on a corner, watching all the girls go by. It's a Wednesday. Our former federal agent, Howard Marcus. How are you, Howard?
Long day, just usual.
Oh, Lord. How's your health?
Well, apparently, if you take the Valium pill, before you sign the waiver, you can't have the biopsy.
If you take the what?
You know, they give you because we won't go into the medieval torture system that they use, but they're supposed to give you something so you don't jump off the table when they show up. And you're supposed to sign your waiver before you take that, even though the Valium, by the way, never took effect.
Oh, they give you a Valium?
Yeah, you know, I asked, I said, what do you want the secretary to do we won't go into details, but it's a male thing they're looking for. And I said, you certainly just lay there while I won't go into details yet.
Well, no, we'd like to hear details, actually.
Well, I looked at the table, and I asked them in advance because I've talked to some friends, and basically, it's I'm guessing about 12 inches long.
What were you having done? You just said biopsy.
A prostate.
Ooh.
Yeah, 70% chance of cancer. One for the indicators, unfortunately. There's 2 tests they give you, just to let you know. There's one called the PSA, which is your classic blood one. There's one I wasn't aware of called a PSI.
What was your PSA?
PSA was 9. It went from 6 months. It went from 0 to 4 to 9. So it was going up steeply. And the doctors go, you can go up to 1,000 or go up to 50. It doesn't mean anything. And I went, well, that's nice for some people. But then there's another indicator, which shows the actual chance of cancer, which I didn't know about. And when I got that result, because the doctor kind of said, "Hey, don't worry about it," but I got the second result, and it said the chance of cancer was 70%.
Wow.
You know, not 1%, not 2%, 70. And I called the doctor. I said, what about the second test? Oh, I guess we should do a biopsy. I said, you think?
Yeah.
And I've had enough weird things going on. I'm pretty sure at this point, if I had to guess, it's going to be, unfortunately, probably, cancer. But it just is what it is. But, you just deal with it.
And so what did the biopsy show?
Well, they couldn't do it. I went in there and I was yesterday, and I'm all prepped, and no dignity left at that point, as you can imagine. And they have you sign a waiver. Well, they tell you like an hour beforehand, take this Valium. They supposedly calm you down, and you're supposed to sign a waiver at that point. Well, supposedly if you're under the influence, as if like I'm a 15-year-old smoking weed or something, they give you Valium, which takes 45 minutes. I signed the waiver right away at the same time, and they would refuse to do the procedure.
And that's the strongest thing they gave you, a Valium?
Which does nothing. It's supposed to keep you calm. And by the way, some people it doesn't work on, and apparently I'm one of them. So they got to reschedule. I said, look, if you're going to do this, I looked at the table and saw what these instruments laid out, and I went, if you're going to do that to me, you expect me to be wide awake and not moving. My friends have said it's pretty uncomfortable, pretty painful. I said, look, put me in twilight. You have to reschedule this anyways. Real mild sedative. Like a colonoscopy.
Right.
Same thing. I can do that, and they have that's an option.
They didn't have an option of radiation, because I'm going through the same thing where mine.
Well, they do the biopsy first to determine if there's cancer, which there probably is, and then what type and what its stage. And without going into big details, if it's encapsulated within the prostate, usually removal of that takes care of the cancer. And sometimes they'll do residual radiation because they can actually test to see if any cells have escaped the prostate.
That's what I was told, that if in fact, because I just finished my medication, I was supposed to find out yesterday. But I'll find out in another blood test. But I was told that worst case scenario would be radiation.
Right.
Why was that not an option for you when they realized that you jumped into the 4s?
Well, they got to do the biopsy first.
But when you jumped to you said you jumped to a 4 before you went to a 9. Why didn't they deal with it when it was in the 4s?
I don't know. They were real. The doctor apparently is a competent doctor. They were real casual about it. I went, guys, my numbers are going up. They went, well, that's because you're aging and this and that. And I went, well, anything over 4 is supposed to be some concern.
Yeah.
And, my friend who had cancer at age 49, his numbers went to like 4.2 and he had cancer. I'm going, mine's at 9. And they went, oh, don't worry about it. It kind of blew me off. And then that second test came back. I don't want to spend the whole half hour boring the audience, but.
No, dude, we've got a male audience. And the reality is, once you're past 50, 60, you're very, very, very likely to have prostate cancer.
About a third of my friends have had it and been treated, and they've all survived.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that I'll deal with it either way. But in order to be able to see the type, how aggressive it is, what kind, if there is even cancer, they have to do a punch test biopsy, which means they take almost like a core sample of the prostate itself for analysis. If you're lucky, there's no cancer. If you're unlucky, there's a cancer, then they have to determine what type it is, how aggressive it is, and a method of treatment. And if it's encapsulated, in other words, people are asking, if it's entirely within the prostate, removal of the prostate and possibly radiation as a prophylactic would be with the course.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Howard, and you're scaring the crap out of me because I'm going through it myself.
I was sitting on the table and I looked at the torture instruments and said, "You expect me to lay here while you do all this?" The worst got it, of course, you look at this 12-inch needle for the lidocaine shot. I went, I've had a lidocaine shot. It's very painful.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I don't go into it. The audience is probably, all the women are covering their ears or probably calling me a wimp because
No. This is the reality. That's why I talk about all of my medical situation, because it's learning
reality
for our audience. We have an older audience.
Yep.
And like I said, the reality is, as a male, you're going to get prostate cancer at some point in your life.
If you live long enough, you will.
Yes.
Or at the very least, you'll have a enlarged prostate and deal with, there's a drug called Flomax. There's other drugs that put you on to try and reduce it. Every one of my buddies, and they're all my age or older, have had issues that something with prostate or things like it. They've had the prostate has to be cored, called coring, to open it up. A couple of my buddies have had prostate cancer, been treated for it. And if they catch it early and you don't ignore the stuff, it's very treatable.
Right.
Allegedly.
That's what I've been told. And so I've been told to relax, and we'll see if it's merely an infection or it's cancer.
Right.
I think it's cancer. because I started
at urine. They should have detected something in the urine. If you have an infection, that should have showed up in your urine sample.
I didn't even take a urine sample. I've just gone.
Well, they should have done that to see if it's a UTI. Mine showed no UTI at all. No, so that's ruled out.
What is UTI?
It's a bladder infection, kidney infection.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to give a urine sample for that to see if there is a blood, because then they treat with antibiotics.
That's what I just for the second time have done. Right. And when I because I started at a 2.5, it jumped to I think a 3.7.
Yeah.
He put me on the antibiotics.
Right.
And went back down to 2.7. And fortunately, I have a really good doctor in Hemel-Cothery, and he said, "Well, let's just make sure again,
right,
and take another blood test." And then it jumped to 4.3, and I've been on. I just finished my second round of antibiotics, and I'll meet with Cothery again. I'm supposed to meet.
Well, see, you could have a case of what's called. I had it once. It's very painful, called prostatitis, inflammation, infection of the prostate itself, rather than the bladder, the urethra, or anything else, and that's fairly painful in itself. And they treat that also with antibiotics. I had that once. It was not pleasant.
Is it painful just to be? I mean, should I be in pain now? Is that what you're saying, or the treatment is painful?
Without getting graphic, when you have an ejaculation, it's incredibly painful because the prostate is out.
Well, I haven't had one of those in months. No,
okay,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. 38 years.
No, I'm kidding. Nobody loves me like Ralph Bailey.
We won't go there. But you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that would be one symptom. That's a symptom for me.
Well, I haven't had any of that. So
you might have just bladder infection, which I hope it is, because that's very treatable.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so too. Wow. Well, we're praying for you, Howard. Good Google movie.
I'm going to deal with it. It's kind of an open book. It's you got to be. You get to a certain age, you deal with age. I mean, it's, the joke is age is not for the for fun. It's but the alternative is worse. Obviously,
it sucks. It sucks.
But every one of my friends have had something to do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
It's just an age thing. It just happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm assuming you disagree with my assessment of the Iran-U.S. war?
I think if we don't do it now, we'll have look at the situation we have with people don't realize that there are Iranian technicians in Korea helped with their nuclear program, and that the drones that are coming over are Korean design, and there's Korean technicians in Iran. They're going to get a ballistic missile because Korea has them, and they'll have it. So, do you want to have a nuclear weapon? They admitted in the talks they already have enough fissionable material for 10 nuclear bombs already. They just haven't built them yet in Iran. They're going to get ballistic missiles left. And would we want to have a regime that thinks death is the best way to go if you're killing infidels? Do we want that regime to have ballistic missiles and nukes? And they're too unstable. There's lots of countries that have nukes that haven't used them. Israel, for one, they don't even talk about it. But they've had a 70-year history, and theirs is the last resort if they're going to be annihilated. Iran will use them. They'll drop one on Tel Aviv tomorrow if they have.
Sure.
They'll hit L.A. if they could.
Sure.
And they will when they get a ballistic missile. So do we wait or we do it? And we're not going to have boots on the ground. I don't know if you realize it. Iranian Kurds have come into the country in open revolt in the provinces.
Just heard that today.
Yeah, they're and the Israelis are going in, by the way, to arm the militias and the combatants in Iran. We're not going in. The Israelis are going to be doing that.
But here's my question, Howard. Yeah. Why is that explanation the most articulate, cogent argument that I've heard beyond even Secretary Rubio? Why hasn't the president addressed the nation and said exactly what you just said?
I've heard it in various formats. The problem is, depending which agency is reporting it, like the combat deaths you're dealing with, the 6 combat deaths, which are tragic. And by the way, I went and looked the numbers up. Non-combatant deaths, the newest year, I went to the Department of Defense. I was just curious, because I said, how many people died just dying in the military? In the newest year from the Department of Defense was 2022. Out of all the military, you know how many guys died?
No.
822. None of them in combat, none of them terrorists. 333 from suicide, like 500 from accidents. It happens in training exercise with these guys.
Right.
The risk is there. They accept that when they take the oath, they're paid to defend the country. They are all aware of the ultimate potential sacrifice they pay.
Sure. And we all understand that.
400,000 in World War II. So it is tragic. Trump has been extraordinary about meeting with the families. He's gone way beyond his way, as opposed to Biden, who never met with the 13 that died
right.
in the chaotic withdrawal.
In Afghanistan.
Very dismissive. Trump is not that kind of guy. But the problem is you cannot let the fact that we might lose soldiers stop us from any combatant action. We have to move forward. If we don't do it now, and it sounds like we have this excuse in almost every war, it sounds trite. But the reality is we stop Iran now or we just don't stop them.
Won't
That's
we?
the choice we have.
Yeah. Won't we be?
It's our choice.
Won't we? Are you ruling out boots on the ground? Because the president certainly is not.
Well, it depends what you mean by boots in the ground. Logistical support for the Iranian people, not combatant troops.
Well, have you heard his quote? Have you heard his quote? And I don't have it with me, but he said something to the fact that other presidents say no boots on the ground. I don't say that.
Well, you know why? He's not going to be hamstrung by statements because Trump is Trump. He's not going to he's not going to be hemmed in by options. The same reason why they don't tell us everything that's going on, because we have a nation of political leakers for political agendas beyond the best interests of America. You know that.
Yeah.
That's why they don't tell us stuff. That's why they don't, as Rubio did say, he did not brief 535 members of Congress. He did the Gang of Eight, because otherwise there are people, if you remember Madero, we had a Democrat call the night of the operation to warn the Venezuelans
that
we were coming. A horrible action. That man should have been tried for treason.
I agree.
No kidding.
I agree.
So we have members of Congress that just for political gain would sabotage and cause the death of U.S. troops and then blame our current administration for it. So the reality of it is that we have to go in. We have no choice because we are going to be ultimately on the list. We have a country that has said openly that they're going to death to America. They intend to destroy Western civilization if they can do it. And we're taking them finally at their word,
which
we should have done 47 years ago.
I agree. And I was in favor of this, but it is the manner in which it was rolled out is what scares me. And the idea that, one of the first things you have to do when you write a story is you have to do an outline.
Right.
And you have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think that's true to any type of military conflict. And I don't know. Tell me. You tell me. You're the former federal agent.
Yeah.
What does victory look like?
In this case, well, by the way, what you're articulating, and we still try to hold true that, is the Powell Doctrine, which means that you have to have an exit strategy.
Yeah.
But think about it. We didn't have one in Afghanistan. The longest war in U.S. history, people don't realize, was Afghanistan, 19 years.
Yeah. With
horrendous deaths, thousands of U.S. deaths.
Yeah.
And no gain, and a total loss. Nothing gained from that whatsoever than literally $1 trillion in blood and treasure. So the ultimate strategy here is to completely emasculate the military in Iran, destroy any capabilities of offensive actions, especially nuclear and ballistic, which is happening now, and embolden the people, because right now what's going on is, I don't know if people realize it's a two-pronged strategy, that the Americans are destroying military targets and the Israelis specifically are targeting leadership and infrastructure of the security forces.
Yeah.
They're hitting barracks, they're hitting anywhere the officials are meeting, and they're trying to decapitate the head of the snake, so to speak. We're going after military targets. We just sunk another destroyer, by the way, in the Indian Ocean, in international waters, with a torpedo for the first time since World War II.
Wow.
So the reality is we're going to completely take out the military. Anywhere we find something, we've taken out jets, we've taken out warships, boats. We've got to eliminate the capability of mining the streets of Hormuz, because that's a huge deal, and we're going to do that. And we're going to take out their Air Force, what's left of it, if there's any left at this point, and we're going to completely destroy that infrastructure. And then, if the military can do that, and the Israelis can decapitate the security forces, the Iranian peoples have already shown, with 30,000 dead and millions in the streets, they're willing to face the risks to overthrow this government. In other words, if you're willing to march unarmed into fire from your own security forces, and people as young as teenagers are dying for it, they're willing to take the chance. We just have to give them the logistical support and the support they need to do so. This is sort of like the breaking point for you, just to predict, by the way, when the security forces finally, like they did in Romania under Ceausescu, when they go over to the people realizing their options are limited if they continue to the very bitter end. They've already had reports of Afghanistan IRGC members shaving their beards and going into Afghanistan to avoid reprisals. What's going to happen is they're going to end up, because they have no leadership, they're going to end up either fleeing the country or trying to go underground, and the security forces are going to be hemmed in, and they're going to either turn with the people or they're going to be massacred. They don't have much choice at this point. They have a long memory. When you have relatives that are shot and killed for just having their head bared, and you have teenagers being slain in the streets with a peaceful protest, they're going to get revenge, Middle Eastern style,
right?
Eye for an eye, the old biblical stuff.
But again, I ask, why do we get the most cogent explanation from you and not the White House?
I can't talk for that. I don't know. You know, I think right now they've got their hands full. They're juggling all this stuff. There's a world. They're still doing with so many issues.
And didn't we hit Ecuador?
Well, it was a tanker, wasn't it?
I was walking out the door and I heard that on the fly.
I tried to stay up to date. I hadn't heard. Well, multiple problems because we're facing with a military campaign where NATO allies like Spain are refusing to let us use their airspace, and
Right.
Britain under pressure let us do it. And
they won't pony up for NATO. They're one of the only European Western
the only one
nation that hasn't divvied up to 5%.
Huge influx of Muslims. They are legalizing all illegal immigrants from North Africa. They're destroying their own country. It's the Reconquista in reverse. And people don't know what that is. 1492, the year of Columbus, was the year that the Muslims were finally defeated and expelled from Spain. It's happening in reverse in our time. There is the same problem with France has. France has a huge Muslim minority, and politicians are politicians.
And the UK as well.
UK, the mortgage their future for votes, which is horrible. To destroy their own culture for a temporary gain, and we don't do that. We shouldn't do that, and I hope we don't do that. But the reality of it is that we have to take out Iran. We have no choice. We waited too long with North Korea. They're now untouchable. They have ballistic missiles and nukes. We cannot do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's the best explanation I've heard, Howard. It really, really is. I'm still skeptical, but
we'll have to wait.
You've lifted my spirits a little bit. I can say that.
Oh, good. Let's just wait and see.
All right, man. All right, I'm praying for your health, Pop.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Take care. Say hi to Mary for us.
All right.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Howard Marcus, quick time out. Not a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. It's TRBS. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we got a lot of news coming out of Iran and obviously France and Germany. And we'll get into all of that. And there's some fun sports stuff to do. We'll do all of that by and by. Plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here for King Door Company. I had my garage door installed over 20 years ago and it still works like the day it was installed. So I know all about King Door's quality products. But let's talk service. At King Door Company, it's an obsession. Whether you're having your garage door installed, serviced, or repaired, you can count on King Door Company to do it right. And it all starts with training. All King Door techs have been through the King Door Academy, an on-site training center where technicians study the very latest in garage door technology so that when they show up at your house, they have all the experience and product knowledge they need to take care of your garage door. They really are the state of the art. And when you pair that expertise with King Door's legendary customer service, you get a service experience that can't be beat. So whether you need a new garage door or just service on an existing door, regardless of who built or installed it, count on the pros at King Door to do the job right. Just call 397-2744 or check them out online at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, the company with the pride of a lion.
Are the rising waters of expenses and debt threatening to drown you? Many people try to stay afloat by borrowing more money or using debt settlement programs, but those can take years. If you're trapped under credit card debt, medical bills, payday loans, or buy now, pay later plans, Chapter 7 bankruptcy could free you much sooner, in about 4 months and for a fraction of the cost. Stop the harassing calls and letters, rebuild your credit quickly, and clear the way for a fresh start. At Clean Slate BK Group, consumer Chapter 7 bankruptcies are all we do. We can help you erase credit card debt, medical bills, personal loans, even past due utility bills. Find out if you qualify at no cost and with no obligation. Go to csbk.com. This is an attorney advertisement. Your results may vary, and prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Clean Slate BK Group PC, located at 7 Penn Plaza, Suite 601, New York, 10001, is responsible for the content of this ad. For more information, visit csbk.com. That's csbk.com. Your clean slate starts here.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
842-5376, 812-KEI, and we're on up. Fingers crossed. Everybody say a prayer for our good friend Howard Marcus. And perhaps the reason for me, now he's got me scared to death. Good Google movie. I'm going to go home and call Hemel Coffrey when I get home. Good Google movie. Again, I want to thank everyone at Noble Elementary, the principal and the assistant principal and the administrators there, and my friend Shelley, who's a teacher there. I had a great time reading to a couple of classes today, and it's exciting. And, you know, when I do this, the reading the book really is about the last thing that I do. I really go to these things just to engage the students, ask them what they want to do, try to emphasize how important education is, how important it is to pay attention to your parents. I try to tell these kids, you know, I know what you're going through. You know, we were all kids. And right now, you probably think you're smarter than your parents. And in some respects, you are. In some respects, you are. But you've got to embrace the idea that at the end of the day, they are smarter than you. They know better. They're trying to guide you right. Listen to them. Listen to your teachers. And I said, I have to go to work. Well, this is your job right here. What you're doing is your job. And try to be the best at it you can be to forward yourself through life. We head into the back half of the hour. I would stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to answer questions over the Justice Department's handling of files related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. 5 Republicans joined Democrats on Wednesday to support the subpoena proposed by GOP Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina in a sign of continued frustration with the department's review and release of a tranche of documents regarding the wealthy financier. President Trump is pressing big tech to build its own power as AI data centers spark anger over electric bills. On Wednesday, he hosted technology companies at the White House and promoted a ratepayer protection pledge. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The lockdown Tuesday at Freedom Middle School had to do with a weapon that was reported to be on campus, but actually was not there, according to school authorities. The lockdown began about 12:30 and was over just after 1 p.m. with Bakersfield PD helping with the search. Governor Gavin Newsom says he'll take money away from Kern County and give it to another county if we don't use it for his mental health court, which Newsom says will help people with mental health issues get off the streets. He fussed at 9 counties he says are not taking advantage of the program. A closure is coming tomorrow morning at the eastbound Mount Vernon Avenue off-ramp on Highway 58, says Caltrans. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Last week, there was the Paul Sheldon sighting. Kind of rare and very exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, Where's Waldo? Granddad's asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games that are fun to win. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun. Because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it. The guy's a genius. Gotta give the man credit. He put it together way back then. Brought along those 3 Medicare pros, who of course by now everyone knows are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2299. 98.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will dive into the ongoing Texas primary battle on the Republican side in the Senate between Tim Paxton and John Cornyn. John Cornyn will join us to give us the absolute latest there. And we will continue to break down everything going on in Israel as we are scheduled to be joined by Yael Eckstein. All that and more. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you come hang with us Thursday edition, Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Yeah. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. And you keep losing when you ought to not bet.
Ain't that the truth?
You keep saying it when you ought to be a changing.
Yeah.
Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet.
True.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Which one is that again? Is that Nancy or Tina? I can't remember. It's Nancy. I always think that's Tina. She made a cameo on The Sopranos when they were when Tony's adversary that damn near killed Tony, that killed Bobby Baklava and killed Bobby Baklava. Is that what his name? Baccarat. What was Bob, the big fat guy? At the last episode.
It's been so long since I've watched the series, if I'm being honest.
I just watched it a couple of. They had a whole thing. I taped them all and watched them all about 2 or 3 months ago.
You should just get an HBO Max or whatever the hell they call it now subscription. You can watch it whenever you want. You don't have to record it.
Well, I recorded them all. I have HBO Max. Yeah, and I can get it on demand and watch it. I can't find Mad Men though. I can't find that on demand. And Randy watches it in the studio. I would love to start at the pilot and watch Mad Men again.
It says it's on Pluto TV.
See, I don't get Pluto TV.
Pluto is free, but
is it really?
It's an app.
How do I get it?
You just have to look it up on your.
And it's absolutely free.
Yeah. This one I've used. It's like an actual cable service that's free, but it's all random channels that no one will really watch or movies.
How the hell do they make money?
Advertisement mostly.
Yeah, true. Well, good. I'll sign up tonight. I would love to see Mad Men. It was a weird series because you can't help but pull for God, I'm forgetting what his name was. John Hamm's character, Don Draper. And you couldn't help but root for him, but he was such an SOB. And then, just when he would like clean up and you would think, okay, he's married this cute young woman and he was being faithful, and then he started drinking again. He cheated on her and then lost his gig. And then I'm ruining it for you if you've never seen it, but it's a great series. It's one of the best. It's up there with Sopranos, Mad Men. I didn't get into The Wire. I never saw an episode of The Wire. Were you into that?
Good.
Yeah, I never got into that.
Suits is really good too, if you haven't tried that one.
Yeah, I never got into that. Once it starts, I can't get into it. Like I never got into White Lotus.
I haven't touched that one either.
I've seen, then I went back because HBO will run. They've been running, like Nurse Jackie is running again. An old series that I love, that I copied them all and watched them. They're running that again, and they're running, they ran, what was I just talking about with the series I was just talking about?
Mad Men?
No, the other one. No, the other one.
White Lotus?
White Lotus. I saw the first 2 seasons, and I've got the third one that they just ran on that I DVR'd, but I haven't watched it. Because I watched the first episode, and I was just like, wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. And yet, that's how I felt about the first 2 seasons. Like the first couple of episodes, I was just like, where is this going? And then I got the theme that somebody dies at the beginning and then you have to figure out who it is. And that's how the third episode, have you seen the third episode, third season?
I honestly have not started this.
Where it starts with gunfire. There's this one black kid who's talking to this woman. They're in like Tahiti or some, you know, exotic place. If you know something about White Lotus, feel free to call in and type me up. And he's talking, all of a sudden there's gunfire. And then, of course, then the episode begins and you find out who dies in like the last episode. But I don't know why I'm talking about this.
And Schwarzenegger's son is very good in it.
He is Patrick Schwarzenegger. I don't know if he is, but he's in it. I like I said, I only saw the first episode, but yeah, he's definitely in it. 842-537-6842-KER. What else is on the board?
Tellerico is not taking super PAC money, aka being bought by billionaires and corporations. That's impressive. I wish all our politicians worked for their constituents, not the billionaires who bribed them.
I'm telling you, he's going to be tough to beat. He's going to be tough to beat. That's why the Republican Party is trying to circle the wagons. And apparently the word is, I don't know if this is true, but the word is, because again, remember, Donald Trump stayed out of the primary that was between the incumbent John Cornyn, who's a longtime Texan. He's been in Senate for 24 years. This is going to be his, fifth term. And he narrowly defeated Ken Paxton, the attorney general with a bunch of baggage. He was impeached. And like I said, I've never heard of an attorney general being impeached. You know, we haven't even impeached Rob Bonta. And who deserves more to be thrown out of office than Rob Bonta? But he was impeached. He was acquitted because, again, as we've now learned through Trump, I don't think a lot of you knew this before Trump, but impeachment is just a trial. Impeachment does not mean dismissal. I think we all grew up thinking impeachment meant you got removed. No, it's a trial. He was acquitted. And then there were some fraud charges that were brought up criminally. He was acquitted of that. But I mean, that's what the Tellerico is going to hit him on. And there is a very natural discrepancy between the two. Because as I mentioned at the top of the show, James Tellerico is a minister. So you've got a devoutly religious man going up against a philandering, fraudulent, damaged candidate. And I believe that if that's the matchup, Tellerico wins by 5 to 7 points, and they flip Texas. They absolutely flip Texas, which would be unheard of in the history of Texas. The history of Texas, after it was a country and became a state, they have only elected, I think, 5 or 6. I'm going through my notes now to find out because I know I wrote it down the other day. They've only elected 5 or 6 Democrats in the history of the whole state. In the history of the whole state. Hell, we've had more Republican governors than they've had Democratic senators. And what state is more one-sided than this damn state? The last one, you all know, or you old folks know, you fellow old folks know, Lloyd Bentsen, Michael Dukakis' running mate in 1988. That was the last Democratic senator. And back in the 80s, a Democrat like Lloyd Bentsen today would be a Republican. He really would be. But I'm trying to look to see specifically if I can give you some more information on that. I don't have it in my notes, apparently. But, yeah, they've only elected like 5 or 6 Democrats in the entire history of the damn state. And yet, I am predicting that if Trump can't talk Ken Paxton out of dropping out and avoiding a very costly runoff, because again, I didn't make this clear, I apologize. Cornyn beat him, but in Texas, just like us, you need 50 plus 1, and he didn't get there. Primarily due to Wesley Hunt, who had a horrible showing last night. I told you going into last night's election down in Texas, that Wesley Hunt, the helicopter pilot, African-American, who Trump loves, that's one of the reasons that Trump said he wasn't going to endorse anybody, because he likes Paxton, he likes Cornyn, he likes Wesley Hunt. In fact, They were at an event, I think it was Friday or Saturday, when he went down to Corpus Christi, and all three were there. And he recognized them in succession. He said, "Where's John Cornyn?" "Thank you, John." "Well, where's Ken Paxton?" "Hi, Ken, doing a great job as AG." "Where's Wesley Hunt, my congressman?" "Yeah, there's Wesley." I mean, that's not really leadership. He should have stepped on the scale right now, because I don't see Paxton backing down. I just don't, even if it came from Trump. And the other sad news out of Texas is that we lost Dan Crenshaw, a really good man, a really good legislator, and just a really solid guy. Go Google him if you don't believe me. And to give you his conservative background, Kathy Abernathy once brought him out here for the Lincoln Day dinner. And his only flaw was that he wouldn't kiss the ring. He would not lie and say that Donald Trump won the election in 2020. And he was very critical of the invasion on the House of Representatives. That's his tragic flaw. And why now? Why some 6 years later, Trump decided just to blow him off? I don't know, but he lost his seat, and we lost a really good man in Congress. One more, let's take a break.
What is there to stop the Iranians from acquiring weapon-grade uranium from the North Korea or Russia? Nothing. Could Iran currently build a dirty nuclear bomb? Yes. And no amount of bombing could stop them from finding a place to do so.
Yeah, but it has to travel. And they need ballistic missiles. And that's what we're targeting. I'm not against what we're doing. You've heard me say on this program that we should make Iran a parking lot. I don't like the organization of it. The idea that, like I said, Howard was more cogent and more fact-based than the administration, where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. How in the world can the Secretary of State say that the cause of this is that Israel was going to attack Iran, and so therefore we get in? And we played you the audio of both of them yesterday. We played you the audio of Rubio saying that and then having to walk it back yesterday because his boss said, "No, I was forcing Israel's hand. This had nothing to do with Israel." We played you that audio yesterday where he said that. And now the White House's stance is, which is absolutely insane to me, that a press secretary would say this, that the boss had a feeling, the president had a feeling that Iran was going to attack first, so we got them. That's what we're basing going to war over? A gut hunch by the president? Well, one of the reasons I wanted to stay neutral, because what if he's right? There's a possibility that he's right. There is a possibility that this could end well, that we could devastate their Navy. Apparently, Pete Hegseth, the idiot, claims that we own the airspace already. That's always good. And if Howard is right, because I certainly didn't hear this from Pete Hegseth, I certainly didn't hear this from Marco Rubio, but if in fact the Kurds and the Israelis will take on the ground effort and we can maintain a simple air attack, then this could be successful. This absolutely could be successful. And then that turns everything. That turns the results of the midterms around. That turns around the 28 presidential election. But if this thing goes badly, and if this thing lingers, and it's September, and it's October, and we're still there, or worse yet, we have American troops there, it will destroy the Republican Party. And excuse me for looking at this in part through political lenses, but that's the game we play. And it's not a game, because if we lose this, our entire world changes. Our entire world changes. In fact, let's go ahead and take a break, because we come back. One of the fruits of the world that we've created as Republicans is the Supreme Court and the overwhelming majority that we have. And that majority has finally dealt with one of the most basic issues that has been kicked down the street for years and has finally been settled. Do parents have a right to be told by teachers and school people that their children are wanting to change their gender? The policy up until the Supreme Court decision was that teachers we're going to keep a secret from the parents. We had the lovely woman, Marissa Wood, who was a Democratic politician who I used to just kill verbally. I met her. She's a wonderful woman. She's a teacher, but she believes in that. She believes that somehow children have rights, and they have a right to tell their homeroom teacher that they're changing their gender, and that homeroom teacher has the right to keep it from the parents. Well, our 6-3 majority said, no. We'll talk about that next on the Ralph Bailey Show, right here on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN, streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and
Adaptive.
On the next Armstrong and Getty Show, the attacks on Iran continue. Are we any closer to the downfall of the regime? Has anybody emerged who says it's time to bring freedom to the Iranian people? We'll find out.
Remember when the tariffs were a thing? Well, we all paid a little more because of tariffs. The convoluted process for getting some of your money back. Wow. Next, Armstrong and Getty Show.
weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Hope you were with us early in the broadcast when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne joined us. They are the owner-operators of our IT provider, Adaptive Networks, as you can finally see kind of clearly for those of you viewing on YouTube. And again, call them today if you are concerned about your IT needs and you want a fast, effective company like Adaptive Networks. Call them at 661-241-0638 or hit them at adaptive-net.com. And as Ryan talked about, they're simple, they're stable, and secure. And again, as I always talk about, no one knows more about IT and depends on IT more than a radio station. And that's why we've chosen to hook up with the folks at Adaptive Networks, as you should as well. If you're concerned about your IT, call them today at 661-241-0638, 661-241-0638, or again, online at adaptive-net.com.
Are you looking for a one-of-a-kind way to honor your team or commemorate a special event? Look no further than Martinez Challenge Coins and More, the premier challenge coins and specialty metals company in Bakersfield. With years of experience and a commitment to quality, Martinez creates custom challenge coins that are truly exceptional. Whether you need coins for your military unit, law enforcement agency, or corporate team, they have you covered. Their expert team will work closely with you to design a coin that reflects your unique vision. From intricate artwork to personalized details, Martinez ensures that every coin is a true work of art.
Hi, I'm Ray Martinez, owner and founder of the company. So don't settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary.
Contact Martinez Challenge Coins and More today and let them bring your vision to life. Visit their website at martinez-martinezllc.com or call 661-304-9589. Martinez Challenge Coins and More, where excellence meets craftsmanship.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like, sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Did you know GoodRx can help you save on medication, manage prescriptions, and get trusted health information? If you're one of the millions living with a heart condition, check GoodRx for an easier, more affordable way to manage your health. GoodRx offers common heart medications for under $30. Just search for your prescription, find the best price, then show your pharmacist the GoodRx coupon. And it works whether you have insurance or not. To start saving and better manage your heart health, download the free app or visit GoodRx.com today. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's evolution, well, you know, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out?
All right. I can't hit that. All right. All right. You know what I saw the other night? That's why I love Reels. I'm addicted. I'm addicted because it's like watching just random, Johnny Carson, old Johnny Carson interviews. My logarithm is into Don Rickles. I watch the Don Rickles interviews, but you also get just some miscellaneous news. And who killed John Lennon? Mark. I bet I beat you. Hey, Siri, who killed John Lennon?
The answer I found.
Mark Chapman. Mark David Chapman. Do you know I watched an interview with Mark David Chapman? Because he's loose. He's free. He's running around the country. In fact, he got into singing. And I watched an interview with him. I did not know, because I remember the night. And you old folks, my fellow old folks and fellow football fans probably remember the night, because the way I learned about it, and I think the way much of the nation learned about it, was on a Monday night. And it was a Monday night football game. And Howard Cosell broke in. And what is really eerie about that is that I don't know how long before his death this occurred, but they were somewhere. They're probably playing the Jets or the Giants. And he came in the booth on a Monday night game. And just coincidentally, that's how a lot of us older folk learned about his death. Howard Cosell broke into the game and said, "We have tragic news. John Lennon was shot out in front of his apartment. He's dead." But I didn't know until I listened to the interview with Mark David Chapman. Man, it is. He walks you through how it happened. And he talked about how he said he had seen John earlier in the night and gotten a autograph from him. And then he went back to his apartment, went back to Lennon's apartment. He said Yoko passed him, and he said hello. And John passed him, and he said he recognized him from earlier. And then as he passed, he turned, and this is what I did not know, shot him 5 times in the back. I don't know why that, to me, just made it worse. I mean, an assassination is assassination. What difference does it make where or how he shot him? But, I grew up old school watching old Westerns and old, just old stuff. And this is just always the cowardly way to kill somebody, to shoot him in the back. I shot him 5 times. I can't even imagine what Yoko went through that night. I just can't. I've seen, as a reporter, I've seen dead bodies. In fact, I've told you the story when I was working at the LA Sentinel, and on Tuesday nights we would have to stay all night to literally put the paper together like college kids, like I did when I was at Cal State. In fact, what we were doing at Cal State was more progressive than what we were doing at the LA Sentinel. But and we were located on 43rd and Central, right in the heart of South Central Los Angeles. I mean, right in the heart. I've told you many times how the battery in my Chevy Chevette got stolen 3 different times in the 3 years that I was there. I had to hit the floor twice while I was there in the 3 years that I was there, where Betty Pleasant was from South Central, and she would write these scathing columns about gang activity. And whenever she would do it, they'd come by and shoot up our joint, literally, to the point where the staff would have to hit the ground, where they would shoot through the windows and into our thing. And oh Lord, I totally forgot where I was going with this.
Talking about John Lennon getting shot in the back.
Yeah, I totally forgot where I was going with this. I really did. Oh, watching death.
There you go.
And so we would have to stay up late. And one of the things that we were instructed not to do is to leave the office at night, because we were there literally till like about 5 or 6 in the morning. And then we had Wednesdays off, obviously. And that's when Chet and I would go to Hollywood Park and play the Daily Double at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But anyway, and so I, being 26 years old and being Ralph Bailey, I probably would have done it at 63 because I'm an idiot. I starving, and we used to bring in pizza and stuff, but I was like, I'm not feeling pizza. There's a Jack in the Box right up the street. I'm just going to walk up to the Jack in the Box. And this gangbanger got caught in the drive-through, and they absolutely destroyed this kid. I mean, they must have shot him 12, 13 times. And I was literally a block away when it happened. I heard the pop, 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 pop. And being 26 years old, and being a reporter, I kind of waited. I didn't just run. I'm not a cop and I'm not brave, but I kind of waited. I saw cars, like 2 cars. They set this guy up like Sonny in Godfather. Literally, that's exactly what they did. They got him in front of him, and then another guy came around the wrong side of the drive-through and blocked him in the front. And they had him pinned in, and they just tore him up. And I'm a block away. I hear the cars screech up, and then I come, and I saw the kid laying there body just riddled with bullets. And if you've never seen that, it is startling, because you've probably only seen that in movies, and they can't display just how much blood is lost. And I mean, I could not tell what color shirt he had on, because it was nothing but red. That deep, dark, bloody red just throughout his whole body. It was something to see. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. Final hour of the broadcast. Don't go anywhere.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM.
Damn, I almost lost
Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Hey. News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Trump administration is complaining about the news media's coverage of U.S. military deaths in the war against Iran. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
From the Pentagon to the White House, Trump administration officials chastised the press for front-page news coverage of 6 American deaths in the Iranian conflict.
I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality.
The press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury.
News organizations have long reported U.S. military deaths, including during the Biden administration's military withdrawal from Afghanistan. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump officially nominates former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh as Fed chair to replace Jerome Powell.
Jerome Powell's term ends in 2 months. Powell and President Trump have clashed over interest rates. In late January, the president was asked if Warsh committed to cutting interest rates if he's confirmed.
I don't want to ask him that question. I think it's inappropriate, probably. But he certainly wants to cut rates. I've been watching him for a long time.
The nomination could stall in the Senate. North Carolina Republican Tom Tillis has said he will oppose confirming Warsh until a criminal investigation into Jerome Powell is resolved. The Justice Department is looking into the Fed's $2.5 billion building renovation project. Ed Donahue, Washington.
President Trump says he'll soon endorse a Republican candidate in the Texas Senate race. Incumbent John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton advanced on Tuesday to a May 26th runoff for the nomination. The winner will face Democratic nominee James Tallarico. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points. The S&P advanced 52. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It was a lockdown because of a suspected weapon. I'm Chris Davis, but no weapon was actually found on the campus of Freedom Middle School Tuesday. Students were just getting their lunch trays when they were told they were being put on lockdown about 12:30. School authorities had been told about a weapon on campus and went so far as to call Bakersfield police, who showed up to help look for it. The weapon wasn't found, and just after 1, the hubbub was all over. Kern County got some stiff admonishment from Governor Gavin Newsom for its failure to use money for a mental health court. Newsom talked about it in a press conference this week. He says the county is not complying with the effort to get people with mental health issues off the streets, in his estimation, and he threatened to pull money from Kern County and 9 others. He says he'll send the money to counties that he believes are getting things done. Meanwhile, Kern County Public Works is happy to put some taxpayer money to use to put in new bicycle facilities that include bike repair stations at 3 parks and new benches with a place to park your bike. That's thanks to a grant that is providing $44,000 to get that done. And if you ride, you'll find the repair stations at Lake Ming, Hart Memorial Park, and Lake Buena Vista. Maybe you have the info to help Bakersfield police catch a thief. The guy busted into a Ross Dress for Less on Ming Avenue the morning of Valentine's Day about 1 a.m. Police did not detail what he stole, but you'll be glad to know if you shop there that he stole from the back room and not from any of the deals at the front of the store. He's described as 25 to 35 with dark hair and was wearing a multicolored coat and gloves. Police are asking for the tip that helps catch the guy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get up close like this. Bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 4th day of March. Just weeks away now from our 4th annual HonorFlightOpen.com. And if you haven't signed up yet, I'm telling you, you might not get a spot. We're going to be packed this year. We're really excited. Jeff Salters from Salty's Barbecue is providing lunch once again for us. Love you, Salty. And, of course, Cassie Biddle and the folks at Casey's Steakhouse will have tacos and cocktails. And I'm buying a round of cocktails for whomever I play with. And I still don't know what's going on. I haven't been told what I'm doing, or I've been kind of told secondhand that I'm playing. But I was also told that Mr. Flores was playing. Now, apparently, he's not playing. Then I talked to Randy, see if he's playing with me. But Randy doesn't know what's going on either. So we'll find out. But just be there. HonorFlightOpen.com, Monday, March the 23rd at the beautiful Bakersfield Country Club. And as I told you, I played there last Saturday. Shot a 90. Should have been like an 87. I made a triple bogey on the 18th hole. Talking smack, too, Jack. Because I made a nice par. I made par on 16, and I made a nice bogey on 17 where I yanked I hit a 5-wood from about 185, and I hit it left, and I chipped on long, and I 2-putted, but I left the first putt about 5 feet short. So I got like a 5 or 6 footer. I'm going to make double on 17, and I knocked that in and saved bogey from about 6 feet. And so I tried to get in some steps. So Turnip Seed took the cart, and I walked to the 18th tee talking crap. I walked to the 18th tee like, Mike, if I make par here, that's 87. Shoot, I can make double, and I'm still going to break 90. Still gonna break 90. No, I made 7. I tried to hit my drive as hard as I humanly could and yanked it into the damn bark. And then I was playing so well, I really struck the ball so well that out of the bark, I took instead of just taking a 6-iron and chipping it back into the damn fairway, I took out my 3-wood. I said, I'm gonna carry this to the ropes right in front of the green, off the bark, Jack. Right off the bark. I'm hitting the ball well. The swing is good. And I hit the top of that golf ball and it rolled about 12 feet. God dog. And ended up making 7, shooting 90. But I was going to play the audio. I won't play it for you and bore you with it. But they did I got some audio of, it's really a great piece if you're a golfer, but small part of our audience golf. But they ask a bunch of pros. This is a great question. When can you say you're a good golfer? And the overwhelming consensus was breaking 90. They asked like Dottie Pepper and Scotty Scheffler and just a bunch of pros, when can guys that do it on the weekend call themselves a good golfer? And it was overwhelming. If you shoot in the 80s, you're a pretty good golfer. If you can play bogey golf, you're a pretty good golfer. Like I've said, man, I was a 12 at one point. In my late 30s and 40s, when I was playing 3 days a week, I was working at Buckley Radio. We used to have Joe Haggerty on the show. I'm sure many of you know Joe, either from golf or just from the community. He's a great guy. He's now at Seven Oaks. But back in the day, as most of you know who know Joe, he was out there at Wasco. I mean, he was Wasco Golf Course, and I missed that golf course. And I was doing a morning show. So on Fridays, Dr. Tony Tarango, a retired dentist, an overall good egg, and I haven't talked to him in a long time. Tony and I were tight back in the day, man. And Oscar Hernandez, who moved to Oklahoma and opened up a bar there, a sports bar. But we would play every Friday. Every Friday. It was gratis because, you know, Joe would come on the show on Friday mornings. We'd go out, he'd give us a foursome, we'd play, and we'd play. I'd play Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'd play, 54 holes of golf just about every weekend when it was warm. And I was like a 12, 13, 14 right in there. In fact, Mark sent me something. I think it was back in the day when I used to play with Swaim out there. We used to play Wasco and River Lakes with roofer and contractors. In fact, let me see. Well, I don't want to bore you guys with this. But they say if you just shoot in the 80s, that's all I want to do. I just don't want to make big numbers. And that's my fault. Or I'll just do stupid things. Like I could have easily made 5 or 6 on 18 if I just, even with that horrible drive, if I just punch out 2, hit a decent 3-wood, 3. I don't even have to hit the green. Just get it around the green. I'm on in 4. And you hope for a 1 putt, but a 6 better than 7. I could have said I shot 89 instead of damn 90. But what are you going to do? One rude listener, that's why I hate Instagram, but people can contact me at will, rudely told me that I confused, he didn't tell me, he just said I was wrong, but I confused Mark David Chapman with John Hinckley, Reagan's killer, who is on the loose, who was released from prison, and is the guy I alluded to doing the music. Mark David Chapman, in fact, had his 10th parole denied. He is still in prison. What I don't understand is people make mistakes. I make mistakes. This guy tried to compare me to Joe Biden. And he said, how can you call Joe Biden incompetent when you get stuff wrong like that? Like, have you lost your mind? And if you want to be rude and belittle me, then why are you listening? I don't understand how people can listen to a radio show where they don't like the host. Am I that good? Am I that entertaining that you can dislike me and try to insult me and hurt my feelings, but you still listen? I must be good. Because this guy clearly, you want me to read what he said? I shouldn't even give him credit, but listen how much this guy hates me. And yet he's still listening. He's still listening. He wrote, please stand by, or did I delete it? I might have deleted it. But he wrote, where is he? I can't even find this. I'm such an idiot. Why don't you put your glasses on, Ralph, so you can see, you old fart? Did I just call myself an old fart?
Yes, you did.
Well, truth is truth. He said, Mark Chapman is still in prison. You should know your facts. And you talk about President Biden being incompetent. Well, if I'm incompetent and you're listening to me, what does that make you, idiot? You're spending your time listening to an incompetent freckle-faced black guy, and I'm the dummy? Okay. All I say to people like this, just be honest. When you get a diary, be honest. Don't punish me and lie and say you don't listen to me, because you probably listen to me every damn day. You know how good I must be to attract people that don't even like me and want to try to insult me? 842-5376, 842-KERN. The House voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi. She's got to show back up, and this will be behind closed doors, so hopefully she won't put on the show that she did last time, when in fact she literally did not answer one of their questions. She just had a booklet where she literally, let's say Senator Chris Burdick is going to question her. So what she would do is she would go to her little binder, Bailey, Benson, Bigger, Burdick. Got Burdick. Okay, what's your question, Mr. Burdick? Miss Bondi, why have you released the Epstein files? Well, Mr. Burdick, you know, you're cheating on your wife, and you didn't even say that, just you would attack whoever asked her the question. She wouldn't even try to answer the question. Senator Bailey, Burdick, Burris, Benson, Bailey. What's your question, Mr. Bailey? We don't understand why you won't address the survivors in the back. Well, Bailey, you know, back in 2006, you had some trouble with the police, and you're just a horrible human being. What does that got to do with what's going on? So now they're going to subpoena her and get her behind closed doors. I'm telling you, this thing's not going away. It's just not going away. And there's some 50,000 files that have not been released yet. So they're essentially breaking the law. That's why I told Teresa Golden the other night, yesterday, I suppose, that despite the fact that we both predicted the War Powers Act would not be implemented by vote today, which it was not, but I told Teresa, it doesn't matter. Trump is going to ignore whatever they do, just like he's ignored the legislation that he signed. That's what's so amazing. He's breaking the law that he signed. The legislation that the House and the Senate ratified damn near unanimously, forcing the administration to release all of the Epstein files. Well, like I said, there are 50,000 still unreleased. And they, I don't think, have any intention of doing so. Marjorie Taylor Greene insists that she was told by the president that his friends would be hurt. I don't think the president is implicated. I really, really don't. But I think that a lot of people would be hurt. You heard we played that audio from Bill Clinton. And if he's not guilty, and you know, I'm kind of reluctant to call somebody like Bill Clinton, who's a clear philanderer, a pedophile. I think there's a big difference. I think you can absolutely be, excuse my inappropriate vocabulary, a male hoe. You can be a skirt chaser. You can be cheating on your wife. That doesn't make you a pedophile. But the fact that they're all lying. Did you see this? Did you see what came out today? Another picture of Hillary with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, and they're all laughing. And why is that significant? Because Hillary Clinton, in a deposition that we played some of it for you, said she never met the man. And yet there are now several pictures that are starting to pop up with her in the picture with Jeffrey Epstein. And this one, they're all laughing. Now, you're right. It could be AI. It could be Photoshopped. Who knows? But it'll be interesting because it's all going to come out in the end at some point. Is anybody going to go to jail? Hell to the nah. Is anybody going to be punished? Not a chance. But the idea that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young women were ravaged as teenagers, and Kash Patel, your guy is FBI, says there are two people responsible. One of them killed himself in a prison cell, which people who have stayed in that cell, who've been imprisoned in that prison in New York, claim there's no way in the world you could hang yourself. And the other one is in Club Fed down in Texas. After talking with Todd Blanche, the second in command of the Department of Justice, Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from Florida, a penitentiary where she belonged, to a cushy Club Fed in Texas. And of all the hundreds of victims, they're the only two that Kash Patel could find to prosecute. And he stands by that, which of course is absurd, absolutely absurd. This will be interesting to see what happens in this closed door session that obviously Democrats are going to leak and talk about. But the interesting point is it was for the House to subpoena someone, it has to be bipartisan. And at least 5 Republicans voted to subpoena the Attorney General, including Nancy Mace, who is all up in this because she is a survivor, not of Epstein, but of sexual abuse when she was young. And 4 other congressmen also signed off on that. As well, it should be bipartisan because this has nothing to do with politics. This is about those women and the memory of Virginia Giuffre, who took her own life at the age of 40 after this whole mess, and who also testified to seeing Bill Clinton on the island. And remember, we played you that audio where there are at least 4 different people. 4 different people. Clinton's body man, his right-hand man while he was in the White House. Maria, I forget her last name. Let me take a real quick look so I don't get a bad phone call from somebody comparing me to Joe Biden. What was her name, Chris? You cut the audio. Maria something? Maria Farmer, who said while he was in the White House, she remembers him on Jeffrey Epstein Island. And like, I don't see him being a pedophile, but why is he lying? Why is he lying? And you all just heard the audio. I don't know if you've seen the actual deposition, but you can tell he's too old to be slick. And you can tell by his body language, his eyes are jumping all around the place. He's like nervous. His hands, it's so sad to see Bill Clinton. He can't even pick up a cup of coffee. Looks like he has Parkinson's. I don't know, maybe he does. I haven't read about Bill, but it's pretty clear. Even with Hillary, her eyes are dancing around. And that's what my father taught me. If someone can't look you dead in the eye, if their eyes are dancing around while they're talking to you, they're probably lying. And that was just my own dad's philosophy. That's how I grew up. And I live with that. Like, if you can't look me in the face, even in just sheer conversation, you ain't right. You ain't right. I've got some guests that come in here and they can't look me in the face. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't trust people that can't look you dead in the eye, you know? But you should see go Google and look at that audio and watch Clinton's dancing eyes and his head, and just it's pretty clear. There's something ain't right. So I don't think we're gonna get to the bottom of this, but maybe so. Maybe so. We can all hope. We can all hope. Let's go ahead and take a break. Come back, check the board, see what you all are talking about. The Dodgers have set up their lineup. We'll go over that, see what you all think. It's a little different from last year. Obviously, because we've got new players, Kyle Tucker, namely, in the starting lineup. And a bad couple of months for Stephon Diggs. He loses the Super Bowl, he loses his job, and he loses his 5th baby mama, Cardi B, who booted him during the Super Bowl, literally. She spent over $1 million for the Super Bowl party. Well, I'll tell you about it in the 5. We're in the 5. I'll tell you about it at the bottom of the hour. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and
Casey.
ERN. The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Nobody's talking about that self-worth and purpose. We're talking about that. Nobody says that. There's more to you than what you're doing. Let's help you get there.
Let's help you get there. Let's just all agree that there's many different roads, but different people dealing with homelessness and living on the streets to get them.
Right, I agree with you.
And as long as we can start there, then I think we can start to make a bigger difference.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You guys will be proud of me. I went to Casey's Steakhouse last night. I had the Ralph Bailey. Beautiful chicken breast. And I don't smother it. I have them put it on the side, and I kind of dole it out myself. But it's a creamy mushroom and spinach sauce. And I said I was going to cheat and have a baked potato. I did not. But I kind of cheated. I had the mashed potatoes, which I had never had. It's the garlic mash. And I figured at least I don't have any butter and sour cream. I know mashed potatoes. I'm trying to get rid of all my carbs. It's not the best alternative, but it's better than the butter and the sour cream and the huge baked potato that they serve. And it was delicious. Little broccoli, little carrots on the side. It was just incredible. And it was a busy night on a Tuesday night. They are doing so well. The Stockyard opens up on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday. They have live music in there. It's a young lady with an acoustic guitar by the name of Lottie. Go in there, tip her, have one of those craft cocktails. And, of course, Jimmy and Bobby providing live music in the main restaurant Tuesday through Saturday. And as I've told you on the weekends, I'm telling you, it becomes like a 45-plus disco with Jimmy and Bobby providing the music. Where would you rather be than on F Street in the capable hands of Cassie Biddle's incredible staff at Casey's Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of The Ralph Bailey Show.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-274-5104 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-274-5104. That's 800-274-5104. What do you have to lose? Call 800-274-5104. Again, 800-274-5104.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Hey, I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
No. I want y'all to know this was a request from Mr. Bailey.
That's pretty impressive for a 63-year-old man. My knee is killing me. Where's my damn chair? She hit the floor. I heard Randy playing it down the hall, and I was inspired.
So much pain right now. 842-5376, what do you got? Damn, I am in so much pain right now.
Ralph, you're going to love Pluto TV because it has all of the old TV series that you love, like Mission Impossible, Wild Wild West, The Rifleman, Star Trek, Columbo, etc.
Wow. I get a lot of those on for my fellow direct TV subscribers. I get a lot of those on 77. Whatever channel that is. I get Columbo, Rifleman, Star Trek.
Yeah.
But
the thing with Pluto, though, is it's not on demand. It's very much like a cable service where you go to a channel and you watch whatever they have playing.
Yeah. Okay. And Mary mentioned it in the chat room. She also said that it has Love After Lockup and
And what I was watching last night, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, which isn't very good right now because it's not. There are two versions of Love After Lockup. There's Love After Lockup, which is really, really good because, as I've often described, they catch them right when they're coming out of prison. So for the first 48, 72 hours, it's a honeymoon. And then right around the fourth or fifth day, mom's purse is missing, or some money that was left on a counter. And the girl goes to her, ex-criminal boyfriend, baby mama's purse is missing. Oh, what? And I did it? Well, baby, you did go to jail for stealing and robbery. You're good for the crime, as my dad used to say. And then, of course, it all explodes. And that's the beauty of it. But right now, there are two versions. Like I said, there are two versions. Right now, it's love during lockup. So the guy or girl is still in jail, and it's leading up to them getting released, which isn't as good. Obviously, there's no contact. There's no mama's purse is missing. There's no destruction of the relationship. And Love and Hip Hop is horrible because they have so many different characters that there are some characters that are just like, I don't want to watch this. This is stupid because it's ridiculous. It's not, and don't think that I believe that it's a reality thing. I know that it's not, but it's still so dramatic. And there's just some of them that you just, like last night I watched it on DVR and I just sped through it and just a couple segments, but nevertheless. We head into the final half hour of the broadcast. As I mentioned, the Dodgers have set up their opening day lineup. We'll go over that, get your thoughts. Stephon Diggs and Kyler Murray are looking for a team, and I think Kyler Murray would look wonderful in silver and black as a young tutor to our first-round pick. We'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is pressing big tech to build its own power as AI data centers spark anger over electric bills. On Wednesday, he hosted technology companies at the White House and promoted the Ratepayer Production Pledge. The pledge asks companies to build or buy new generation for their centers and asks them to pay for grid upgrades. President Trump's White House ballroom project is too big and should be scaled back. That's according to an architect and member of the board of the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
There's going to be a lot of guys out there.
David Scott Parker says the ballroom exceeds industry standards for size.
I don't know.
On Wall Street, the Dow by 238 points, the Nasdaq rose 290, the S&P advanced 52. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. If your kids go to Freedom Middle School, you might have heard them talk about a lockdown yesterday during lunch period. That was because of a weapon that was reported to be on campus. The school says no weapon was found, and that was after a thorough search with the help of Bakersfield Police. Kern County is not taking advantage of a mental health court, a program that would get people with mental health issues off the streets, says Governor Newsom, and he's threatened to take the money away from the county. If you ride a bike, you may be happy to know that 3 new repair facilities are going in at Lake Ming, Hart Memorial Park, and Lake Buena Vista. Kern County Public Works says that's thanks to a $44,000 grant. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Got battery issues? Choose the #1 name in power, A1 Battery. We've got you covered with top quality batteries for every need. Cars, scooters, motorhomes, garage door openers, key fobs, golf carts, home alarm systems, wheelchairs, and so much more. If it takes a battery, A1 Battery has it with multiple locations to serve you. Enjoy enjoy free diagnostics on batteries, starters, alternators, and electrical systems. Plus, get free installation with any purchase. First Friday of each month is free Key Fob Battery Friday. Family owned and operated since 1960, A1 Battery has been providing reliable, friendly service to Kern County. Need us in a pinch? We offer emergency services to make sure you're never stranded. Tell us you heard it on the radio and get 10% off your purchase. Call A1 Battery today, 589-1433 for the location nearest you, or visit online at a1batterycompany.com. A1 Battery, powering your world, one battery at a time.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we got a lot of news coming out of Iran and obviously France and Germany. And so we'll get into all of that. And there's some fun sports stuff to do. We'll do all of that by and by, plus news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
842-5376, 842-KERN. So again, I mentioned the Dodgers have released their lineup. This is what they're going with. They're going to lead off with Mookie Betts. No, I'm just kidding. I still don't agree with Ohtani hitting first. I really don't. Can you imagine how many RBIs he'd be hitting? I just grew up old school. And, as I would explain when I would coach, like whenever I coached Little League for a little while, and I would go over our lineup and how I construct the lineup. And this is just the way I was taught by Gary Fowler, who was a longtime coach here. He coached at Highland. He coached at Centennial, and then he finally retired at Golden Valley. He was the athletic director. Well, he was my high school football, baseball, and basketball coach in Sherman Oaks at Buckley School before I left in 10th grade, and before he left to move up here. And Dan Bridges was a really good head coach. He is a really good baseball coach. He is the athletic director now at, I believe, either Cal State LA or Cal State Dominguez. And this is what this is what I learned from these men. And, your number one hitter is the fastest guy on the team. He's the guy that can bunt. He's the guy that can take pitches and walk and get on base. Because if you're the fastest kid on the team or the fastest guy on the field, a walk can be a double. That was the genius of Ricky Henderson. If you walked Ricky, that was a double. He just hit a double because Ricky's going. And I say it like that because Ricky used to talk about himself in third person, period, end of sentence. In fact, there's some guys that tell some great stories. Will Clark, Will the Thrill, tells a great story about how, because they were asking Will in a podcast, because Clark, for young people, do you even remember Will Clark?
Very little.
Yeah. Well, he's a really good first baseman. Played with Rafael Ramirez in college. I think they won a World Series championship in college down in Texas. Can't remember what school. And Ramirez, who should be is that his name? Rafael Ramirez? I think it's Ramirez, who should be, for the Texas Rangers, should be in the Hall of Fame, but he got caught up in the PED stuff. And Will Clark, they were asking him, played first base for the Giants, got awful stinky smellies, and they asked him, what were some of the funniest guys that you ever came in contact with? And he said, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's Ricky Henderson. He said Ricky Henderson would come down to first base and he'd go, Will, Ricky's going to second, don't you? Ricky's going. Because he literally would only talk about himself in the third person. And he said that one night he stole second base and he kept pointing back at Will. Will was like, what? He said, I told you Ricky was going. You didn't believe me. Ricky's here. And then I'm going over there, pointing at third. And he stole third base. But that's your leadoff guy. The guy that can take pitches, that can get on base, that can steal second base, that can take pitches and still get on. Second guy is your utility guy who can bunt the guy over, who can take pitches while he's trying to steal. And the third hitter is the best hitter on the ball club, period, end of sentence. That's how I was raised. And the fourth hitter, obviously, is the guy that can hit home runs and knock in runs. Now, I'm not saying that we should put him fourth because that's going to limit his at-bats. But at least third. Let him, how many solo home runs has he hit in the last 2 years? A lot, which is fun and great, but that's one run as opposed to 2 or 3 if you put him in the 3 hole. So, but he's going to lead off again. The change is, however, did you hear this, Chris? They've moved Mookie to third. They're going to put Tucker, our recent signing in the second hole. So they're going Ohtani, Tucker, Betts. Freddie's going to hit cleanup, which I don't agree with. Will Smith is going to hit 5th. Teo's going to hit 6th. And then at that point, they didn't really release anything further because we're not really sure. It'll either be Edelman at second base, or will it be Miggy, or will it, I don't think they've settled the outfield yet in terms of, is it going to be Andy Paez out in center field? Obviously, Tucker will be in right. They're moving Teo over to left. And it's likely going to be Andy Paez. I think he lost kind of his love with the ball club during the playoffs when I think he hit like 90 in the playoffs. But he made one of the biggest plays in the whole damn series. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about when he mowed over Kiki Hernandez to make that catch that literally saved the world championship. If he doesn't catch that ball, we're not trying a 3-peat. And so I think you got to, and he's got a shotgun of an arm, so you got to keep him in the lineup. And he hit 27 home runs last season, I do believe, if I'm not wrong. Well, Joe Biden. But, and what other position have we not talked about? Oh, Muncy will be in there somewhere as well. I think you put Muncy at, where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You put Muncy in the 7 hole. You put Paez at 8, and you get Edelman, Tommy Edman, excuse me, to hit 9th, so we can get back to Shohei. And that's a hell of a lineup. That is a hell of a lineup. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think you guys have had the best lineup in baseball for the last 2 years. But
yeah,
I'm not crazy about Kyle Tucker being the number 2. He's more of a power hitter.
That's what I thought.
I would flip-flop him and Mook, to be honest, and that might happen halfway through the season.
I don't know if I'd put him in the 3 hole, but I have him for a 5 or 6.
5 or 6 might be a little comfortable spot for him.
Yeah, because there's not the pressure that's going to be on.
Would you move Mook to 2, Will Smith to 3, or Freddie to 3, Will Smith to 4?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'd do. I'd have Ohtani, Mookie, Fred, and Will Smith hitting 4th.
Right.
Teo hitting 5th. Maybe or maybe
Teo could even drop down to 7 if you wanted him to, just because of how powerful the bats are.
Yeah, and this way they're going left, right, left. If you do it my way, you can go left, right, left.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go Ohtani left. You go Mookie right, you go Freddie left, then you go Will 4th right, you go Muncy or 5th left, Teo 6th. I don't know if you can take Tucker all the way to 7th.
He's too good for that. I would flip-flop him and Teo.
But it'd be nice to be able to go left, right throughout the whole damn lineup.
True.
And that way, doesn't matter who they throw, left hand or right hand, doesn't matter. But this way you're going left, right, left. Which I with our lineup, does it really matter?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
At this point, it's more just how many games you guys going to win this season.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on health. And, what's amazing is we were not healthy last year, and yet we didn't win 100 games, but we certainly were healthy when we needed to be. Apparently, Blake Snell may not be ready at the beginning of the season. And you know what I think about that? I could not possibly care less. I really couldn't. At the level that we're at, the regular season doesn't matter a damn. What matters is as long as we get in the playoffs, I don't even care if we have to play in. That's how confident I am about this ball club. But I mean, we'd have to try not to win 95 games this year. You know what I'm saying? With Blake Snell again, I mean, our and Roki coming back, much more confident. The word is that they are going to take him out of the bullpen now that we've got Diaz from the Mets, and he might be a potential starter. And I mean, you're looking at Glasnow. I'm assuming Yoshi is going to be our number one, but you got Yosh, you got Snell, you got Glasnow, maybe Roki, and some of those also Rans, maybe Sheehan, maybe I don't know. I'm blacking out right now. Some of those guys, you know what I'm talking about. Those guys. I forget the one that I can't stand. He pitched the other day down in Glendale. I can't remember the guy's name. Hacker or something like that.
Oh yeah, Hacker.
Is that his name? Yeah. Can't stand him. And the day I was watching, he got beat up. But it's going to be a fun season. It really, truly is. Really, really is. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Stephon Diggs, as I mentioned, got released by the New England Patriots. Did I not predict that? Didn't I tell you they were going to boot his butt? I think you told me that you didn't think so.
I was figuring they need the wide receiver help, so they may wait a little bit. But the A.J. Brown situation is growing.
I don't think they're going to get rid of A.J. I really don't. I think they're going to deal with him one more year. I really don't. Although, what do I know? Some of the things that these teams do are just beyond me. The fact that Seattle is not going to re-sign, what's his name, Walker, their running back?
Well, they're not going to franchise tag him. That doesn't mean they're not going to re-sign him.
I was listening to PTI last night, and they're saying that they're going to release the guy, that they believe in Charbonneau, who's coming off an injury. But you're right, they could re-sign him. But Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser were saying that they don't think they're going to re-sign him. And, I think, and Kyler Murray also is out of a job. Randy, I just went down the hall. Randy can't stand him. Because I was telling Randy, we need a veteran because I'm not completely sold on Mendoza this year. I'm not sold that he's going to just come into the NFL and just light it up. I think, look at Aaron Rodgers and look at some of these pros. Most of them have a year or two at least to sit and just kind of watch for a little bit. But to throw this kid just into the fray, particularly if we don't shore up our offensive line, I think either one of those guys would look good in silver and black. But Randy was like, nah, we don't want Kyler Murray. Apparently, Randizzle says that he's lazy. And that was one of the reasons that the Cardinals let him go, that he wouldn't watch film. And he was
that has been a growing problem, yeah.
That's his rep?
Yeah, he likes to play video games instead, apparently.
That is just amazing to me, that you make it to that level and it's not your whole world. And this in the wake of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson. You've seen guys who have shown you the work ethic that it takes to be a superstar, and you have all this freaking talent. Kyler Murray is one of the most talented people in the NFL. Dude could play shortstop for just about any baseball team in baseball. That's how good an athlete he is. I think he even admits that he's a better baseball player than he is a football player, but he wanted to play football. And it just amazes me that these guys can be lazy at that level when everybody is good in the National Football League, even the hacks that we talk about and yell at. To make it to that level, you have to be incredibly talented. Even the scrubs, even the guys that don't perform well, they're still at an incredibly high level. And that's what makes the difference, that the other guys that are more talented study more. They read the playbook more. They watch film more. They work harder. They work harder in the gym. And that's what separates these guys, because you can't get to that level and be a sad sack. You just can't, But some guys work harder than others. That's too bad. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the night. We'll talk about the life and times of the late Lou Holtz, who passed away at the age of 89. As I mentioned at the top of the show, my cousin was a music teacher at USC. Oh, not that USC. Columbia SC. Columbia, South Carolina. The Gamecocks of USC. And he knew Lou Holtz. He actually knew him. I don't know if he's telling the truth. He's passed away now, but he said he used to have lunch, that Lou would come in the cafeteria and eat with the other professors, and just a really good guy. And this is while they were both still alive when George told me this. But he's most famously known, of course, for his 10-year run with the Catholics in South Bend, where he won a national championship. And he took over, there was the Ara Parseghian era, for my fellow old folks who remember the early 70s. And then Notre Dame was off the map for a while, and Lou Holtz came in and totally revitalized the entire program. Absolutely. And a good guy from what I understand. Keep it locked. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Tomorrow's a Thursday. Michael Turnipseed will be here. We'll talk about my Saturday round for most of the time. I played with Mr. Turnipseed last Saturday. And, of course, our money man, Daniel Petrie. But keep it locked. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we're streaming live at KurtRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will dive into the ongoing Texas primary battle on the Republican side in the Senate between Tim Paxton and John Cornyn. John Cornyn will...
Whenever you're ready.
All right. What do I do? Texas or the war? What do I do? The Texas Senate race or the war?
War.
War. Three, two. I don't have a problem with us going after Iran. I think you've heard me say, I think we need to make that place a parking lot. But why is it that we got the most cogent, clear-minded, effective explanation of why we are at war from Howard Marcus than we have from the press secretary, from the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, and the President of the United States? But I still need to know, what does victory look like and what is our exit strategy? 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Thursday, so Mike Turnipseed, Current Tax Association, will be with us, along with our money man, Daniel Petrie from Messmaker Petrie Wealth Advisors, and obviously the latest on the Iran-America war. America, really, Ralph? 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. Well, it's a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed, Executive Director of Current Tax, will be with us at 4 o'clock, and followed by our money man, Daniel Petrie, and the latest on the U.S.-Iranian war. All that and me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
But in the daytime, the streets were clear. You couldn't find a good freak everywhere. Cause things come out at night. The things come out at night. The things come out. The things come out at night.
true. That's true. That is true. You ever known somebody and then you find out they're like a freak? We have an God, I'm so stupid. We have a mutual friend, you and I, Chris. That, you know what I'm talking about?
Pens.
Let me shut up. What am I doing? 842-537.
I don't want to know now. Don't tell me.
Oh, I can't. I was about to word it, and I was like,
"Don't do it."
I forgot. I'm on camera. Someone. Well, anyway. 842-537-6842 KERN. You know what I haven't talked about all day is this story out of Los Angeles and this Dr. Brian Ocasio, excuse me. He has a facility here, but he's out of Laguna Niguel. And apparently he was facing eviction at his office. That's his main office. His office here, it's a satellite office, but he got evicted from his office down in Laguna Niguel. So he packed up all his goods and all the embryos of about 20 clients and brought them up to Bakersfield. And they are now, trying to find their eggs, the women and the couples, the 20 or so clients. I got this from KTLA. I don't know the attorney's name. They didn't put a font. But here is the attorney that's representing the 20 people that want to know where the hell did their eggs go.
In December of last year, when Dr. Ocasio's clinic was facing imminent eviction for not paying rent for over a year, Dr. Ocasio secretly rounded up all of his patients' embryos, loaded them into a truck, and drove them 4 hours north to Bakersfield to an undisclosed location. Never told his patients about it and never got their consent. To this day, we do not know exactly where those embryos are or whether they're safe.
So if you're going to this guy's satellite office here, you might want to rethink that. I'm just giving you, hey, it's none of my business, but sounds like a pretty shady character. KTLA contacted the guy and he has no comment. He says it's ongoing litigation, so he can't talk about it. But again, he has a satellite office here. And are we really that small a town? Are we really that LA residents think we're 4 hours from LA? Dude, that's LA. That's like to Fresno, 4 hours. You can be in Vegas in 4 hours. You think the LA Bakersfield trip is 4 hours? Like, really? We're that small a town that LA attorneys aren't that smart? Then we're not even on the map for these people. Okay. So I'm just giving a little friendly advice. If in case you're going to this gentleman, you might want to think about going someplace else. I don't know. Totally up to you, obviously. What do you got on the board? Let's get Sam Hill out of here.
Dodgers are the new Yankees. Until the MLB gets a salary cap, they can buy themselves a World Series every year.
And so can the Yankees. And so can the Mets. And so can the Phillies. Teams just don't want to spend the kind of money.
And you're not going to get a salary cap. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen.
Salary floor.
We're going to have a work stoppage in 27, that's for sure, because the players are dead set against a salary cap, obviously, when they see, it's one thing for we're watching Babe Ruth. All when I was growing up, I always said, God, it would have been crazy to be able to go see Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio. Well, we're living it. And this guy, in my opinion, is better than Babe Ruth. But do you realize that Sosa in New York's making more money than our guy? So don't give me that nonsense. Our guy's making $700. He's making $730. So don't tell me the teams can't do it. Teams don't want to do it. They don't want to do what Mark Walter is doing, and that is taking the enormous amount of money that the Dodgers make because we sell out every year. That's part of it. Don't just say that we have a bunch of money. We have a bunch of money because 4 million people went through the turnstiles last year, and our prices are ridiculous. It costs you $50 just to park your car. So it's in part because everybody wants to go to Dodger Stadium and everybody wants to go to the game.
There's no other ball club in baseball that can get 4 million fans. So that's part of it. Don't just say, oh, well, we've got the wealthy people. No, we're wealthy because we've got one of the greatest venues in all of baseball, Dodger Stadium, and we provide a great ball club because they reinvest that money when other organizations are pocketing that dough. That's the difference. So don't give me that crap. And you know what? I don't give a damn. We got our asses kicked by the Yankees, and that's what George Steinbrenner would do. He'd go out and buy everybody. So now we learned, and we're doing it. And now it's all upsetting in baseball. And they're saying it's ruining baseball, when in fact, the ratings have never been higher. And guess when they started to peak? 2 years ago. The Dodgers are driving baseball. Baseball would be brokenhearted if the Dodgers somehow went away. And yet all the Giant fans, all the lazy Giant fans, and all the crybaby Angel fans, and the Dodgers just buy the team. They just have money. So? So? At least I get to see them a couple times a year, and they're fun to watch, man. That's why I said I've admitted that I'll probably change my thoughts after the All-Star game, but they have brought me so much joy over the last 2 years that I don't even care if we repeat. I really don't. I just want to see Shohei play. I just want to go down there a couple of times this season, experience being in Dodger Stadium. It's like Disneyland for me. Just being in the stadium is just an incredible experience. It, brings me back to my youth when we would go to, God, my dad never got baseball season tickets. We had Rams and Raiders season tickets. We had Laker tickets. Only time I ever really cursed my dad, he sold our Laker tickets in 1978. And if you know, in 1979, we got Magic. I got to go. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Rap to the
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Pentagon says the United States is quickly gaining air superiority over Iran. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told reporters that the U.S. military is quickly taking over Iranian airspace. He also reported on success underwater.
An American submarine sunk an Iranian warship.
Despite progress in the opening days of the war, Hegseth said the U.S. can't stop all air attacks, and he refused to commit to a time frame for how long the conflict may last.
We can say 4 weeks, but it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 3. Ultimately, we set the pace and the tempo.
Top officials caution that U.S. service members remain in harm's way.
See you guys.
Greg Clugston, the White House.
Elon Musk has taken a stand in a shareholder trial over his Twitter stock.
The lawsuit accuses Musk of making false and misleading statements that drove down the stock price before he bought Twitter for $44 billion in 2022. The shareholders who filed the lawsuit sold their stock between May and October, when Musk's purchase closed. When asked by the plaintiff's lawyer